Of anticipation here at Bank One Ballpark. They saw Randy Johnson lose, and not very prettily, if that's a word, on Tuesday night. Can it be that Curt Schilling might be in trouble against the Cards? Well, these fans, another sellout crowd here in downtown Phoenix, certainly doesn't think so. They've seen this team get off the mat. Reference Game 4 and 5 of the World Series. This is just, they think, one little stumble en route to another World Series. But Tony La Russa's Cardinals have it going on all cylinders. Everybody seemed to be hitting in game number 1. Fernando Vina had 3 hits. He leads it up. J.D. Drew the change for Marrero and Wright. Jimmy Edmonds, first inning home run. How much will we look back at that home run that he hit in inning number 1 off Randy Johnson? We'll see how far the Cards go. Pujols with the 2 hits in the triple. Scott Rowland with the home run hitting 5th. Tino Martinez and Edgar Renteria swap in the lineup. 6 and 7. Mike Matheny behind the plate. And 39-year-old Chuck Finley hitting 9th for the St. Louis Cardinals against Curt Schilling, who had another masterful season. Curt Schilling, who is 23 and 7 this year, following up a 22 and 6 regular season last year. However, he stumbled his last 3 starts and 1 brief relief outing. We talked to Schilling about just finishing the season on a down note. Alfred E. Newman, what, me worry?
People have been trying to make excuses for me for 5 weeks. He's tired, he's hurt, he's tipping his pitches. Really, none of that is applicable to why I'm doing bad. I'm just struggling. I wasn't doing well. I guess people have a hard time accepting the fact that sometimes you just don't do the job.
Well, Sut, did you find anything in Curt Schilling? I mean, his last 3 starts, and then he came in relief over the weekend and gave up a home run. Numbers are very not Curt Schilling, but no one's going to be automatic for a 6-month span. I mean, should he be concerned?
I think what happened to Curt Schilling more than anything down the stretch was the fact, Boomer, he had an opportunity to win his first Cy Young award. And to do that, he had to keep up with his teammate, Randy Johnson, as far as strikeouts were concerned. You mentioned, after his 21st victory, he only had 21 walks. Well, in the 2 wins after that, you could see he had walked 12 guys during that period of time. I think he just started pressing. He wanted that Cy Young award. I don't think he's going to get it.
Some changes certainly for Arizona, most notably at first base, where Mark Grace is out and Greg Colburn is in hitting 3rd. And Mark Little, a story we'll get into, is the new left fielder, and Damian Miller, new catcher. So 3 different guys in the starting 8.
Yeah, 3 different catchers in the first 3 games for Bob Brenly, because Rod Barajas will catch Miguel Batista.
Curt Schilling getting himself ready. Luis Gonzalez has thrown out the first pitch. An emotional first pitch for him just a couple of days out of surgery to add a little fuel to the Arizona fire.
That's exactly what got this crowd going, and a terrific gesture on the part of his friend Tino Martinez applauding Gonzo.
Swinging at the first pitch as we thought they might. Fernando Vina fouls it off. Vina was 3 for 6 in the first game. Jimmy Edmonds was 3 for 4. And 3 other Cards had 2 hits. So 5 guys in the 8 lineup had multiple hit games, and a game started by Randy Johnson. Will it continue 2 days later? Little chopper up the middle. That's going to be a tough play for Spivey, and the way Vina runs, no play. So, as they did in game number 1, Vina aboard to start the game. He got aboard on an error in game number 1, and he's ready to run again.
I'm going to tell you what, the top of the first inning more than just sets the tone of a ball game. If Schilling is able to put up a 0, you have a big advantage. Your team gets to hit 9 times. The opposing team's only going to hit 8 times. You also have that last at bat. But it was Vina and then Jim Edmonds that set the tone for St. Louis in game 1.
J.D. Drew, who homered in that last game of the regular season that the Cardinals saw the Diamondbacks the Wednesday of that 8 days ago, he hit a 3-run homer. Scott Rowland also had a 3-run homer. And Drew's home run at the time put the Cardinals ahead of, or in a tie-breaking method, ahead of Arizona in a tie-breaking situation for home field advantage. Arizona eventually finishing a game better than St. Louis. But Drew has homered a couple of times off Schilling. One we should mention was in game 5 here last year.
The only run Curt Schilling allowed during that divisional series in his 2 complete games against the Cardinals. Boomer once again. St. Louis swinging at the first pitch. What's up with that?
Well, we thought they might. Drew behind 0-2. Miller sets up outside. Drew fouls it off. The only slot in the lineup. Well, actually, there were 2 slots. Marrero did not get a hit in game 1. Tino Martinez did not get a hit in game 1. Everybody else was pounding it. Now, I do find this interesting as Tony La Russa knows he's got a club that is red hot. 22-4 from September 3rd on, if you include game 1. Almost that Vigna lead.
See, that's the big difference between Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. Both of them with a lot of strikeouts, but Schilling does an outstanding job controlling the running game. Cardinals were able to steal a couple of bases off of Randy Johnson in game 1. They're going to have to get a great jump to steal a base off Schilling, and in particular, Damian Miller, the catcher.
0-2 again. Drew making them work. Randy Johnson in game number 1, when we talked with Bob Brenly, we said, well, how often do you have a guy when Randy Johnson or Curt Schilling's pitching? How often do you call the bullpen in the 5th inning? 6 innings, the 10 hits, his postseason high in hits allowed. 5 earned runs, and then of course the bottom fell out as soon as the bullpen came in with 6 more.
Boomer, they put it in play though. Look at that, just 4 strikeouts for Randy Johnson in the 30 batters that he faced in that ball game. 2 of them were Matt Morris, the pitcher, who was trying to bunt.
Drew lays off, and it's ball 1. Bill Miller, who was the first base ump on that close call involving Spivey and the fadeaway throw, if you will, on his derriere from Scott Rowland. Bill Miller is the plate umpire. Ron Meaculpa is at first. Gary Darling at second. Steve Ripley, believe it or not, is at third. Mark Hirschbeck left field line, and the home plate umpire from game 1, Bruce Fremming, is in the right field line. And now we are 2-2. Vigna jump around. The specter of Jimmy Edmonds, who has hit Curt Schilling very well in his career, who hit Randy Johnson very well, about 440 feet in the first inning Tuesday night. Nothing doing with Vigna. Drew swinging through it, 1 down.
Unbelievable focus on the part of Curt Schilling to not only make good quality pitches to J.D. Drew, but also not let Fernando Vigna get a running start as far as stealing second base. Just a complete pitcher, Boomer, all the way around. He does not beat himself. If you're going to beat him, you have to swing the bats.
So Jim Edmonds up. Last 10 regular season games, hit at .407. Game 1 Tuesday night, 3 for 4, including a 2-run homer and a pair of singles. To say that he is seeing the ball like a grapefruit, despite the fact that game 1 was Randy Johnson, would be an understatement. And against Schilling, we already mentioned. Pretty darn impressive. And that, of course, includes the postseason numbers last year when Schilling did not allow much.
Boomer, his slugging percentage of Jim Edmonds at .772 in postseason ball games. That is the highest among anybody with at least 50 postseason at bats. The guys right below him, a guy named Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Hank Aaron, Juan Gonzalez in that group as well. But Jim Edmonds above all of them.
Not above that pitch. This is something that we mentioned right at the time, and who knows, but the emotion on the Cardinal bench when he hit a 2-run shot off Randy Johnson, a no-doubter in the first inning. We'll see if the Cards come out of this series, and we'll see how far they go. But I'm telling you, if they go places, you can reference that home run every postseason game they have. Very much like Eric Davis in game 1 against Tony La Russa and the defending champion Oakland A's in the 1990 series against the ace Dave Stewart. It changed the series immediately. Oakland never won a game. Tony's hoping he's on the other side of that equation this time.
Well, you even got him to smile a little bit this morning in our meeting when you brought that up.
He didn't quite say attaboy for bringing it up, but there was a little smile, wasn't there?
You know, and it was tough to get a smile out of Tony. He just flew in to Phoenix this morning. There were some personal matters. He talked to us a little bit about it, but he said, you know what, just leave it at that. I want the focus on winning game 2 for our club, not me today.
He seemed very much in tune with what is going on with his club, as you might expect. The most successful managers of all time. There is Chuck Finley waiting for his opportunity. Will he have runs to work with?
Well, he waited for a postseason appearance last year. 15 years between those appearances. Didn't go real well for him as a member of the Cleveland Indians. He lost game 2 and game 5 against Seattle. Now, he feels really fortunate to get another opportunity to come back and hopefully fix that here tonight.
Ahead of that one is Edmonds, and Schilling did a lot of thinking against a guy that's had some success against him. A little more than the normal motion, huh?
You know, but watch what happens with the swing. Look how they just almost stop it. That's what they did off of Randy Johnson and his slider. Well, with Curt Schilling, it's going to be the split finger. They start the swing as if it's a fastball, and if it's an off-speed pitch, it's almost like they're stopping the swing, just trying to foul it off. They were able to do that against Randy.
Blows that one by Edmonds up high. 2 outs, both of them Ks.
Well, he's got his good fastball here. That's right down the middle, basically in the same location of the pitch that Jim Edmonds hit a home run off of Randy Johnson in game 1. Take a look at that glove right now. We'll get into that a little bit later in this ball game. That was the topic of conversation in the newspaper the last couple of days. Curt Schilling possibly tipping his pitches.
Something that you had noticed yourself.
Well, we did the last game of the year here, and I saw it then when he came into relief. I saw his last start against the Cardinals, which he gave up a couple of homers, doing that same thing.
He starts Albert Pujols off with a strike, and nobody is better than that in this game than Schilling. Pujols with a long triple to the right center field corner off Randy Johnson later in the game, a 2-run single. And you see those type numbers for Pujols. His first 2 years have been eye-openers in the majors. Crowd wants it, and they get it. Ron Culpa, the ump at first, said, yes, you did, and so Schilling is ahead, 0-2. First pitch strike from Schilling. He's unbelievable.
Well, really the biggest difference, we'll take a look here at the swing by Albert Pujols for strike 2. The biggest difference in these 2 pitchers is the fact Schilling retires the leadoff man 78% of the time. Finley only 68%.
Crowd looking for the strikeout, not so fast. I mean, no matter what numbers you look at with Schilling, here's one of my favorites. We did a game at the Pac Bell, his last start in May. He ended the month of May with 8 walks. 8 walks for 2 months. Come on.
Just so solid mechanically.
And he ends the first inning with 3 strikeouts. Everybody on their feet at the Bob. They sense a different afternoon for the Diamondbacks. Heading to the bottom of the first here in the desert. No score. Bottom of the first, the roof closed. A beautiful day. Not too hot here in Phoenix, but in day games they close it, and so it's indoor baseball on the grass here at the Bob. And Bob Brenly, speaking of the Bob, the manager Bob, has this lineup with several changes, which we pointed out. Of course, Womack and Spivey at the top. Greg Colbert, who certainly hits lefties as well as anyone, hitting in the 3-hole. Matt Williams hitting cleanup for only the 2nd time all year. And Steve Finley down to the 5 spot. Quentin McCracken 6. Damian Miller, the new catcher. Mark Little, the left fielder, and Curt Schilling against the 39-year-old 6'6" lefty from Monroe, Louisiana, Chuck Finley.
Picked up his 200th career victory in his last regular season start. That's the most career wins of any active pitcher, Boomer, without a postseason victory.
Chuck Finley, as you mentioned, having another chance. His first postseason start were those 2 you mentioned last year as a member of the Cleveland Indians. Neither did he last the 5th. Tony Womack, 1 for 5, as you see in game number 1. Trying to bunt his way on. An alert, and it was foul anyway, so it is strike 1. We might as well just say this about Finley since we're talking his history. In 1986, you know how far back he goes? He pitched in the Donnie Moore game. The game in which Dave Henderson hit a home run and California thought they were going to the World Series Game 5. Finley is right there for the easy comebacker and flips it over to Tino Martinez. But he pitched 3 times in relief for the Angels in 1986 in the series with the Boston Red Sox. That is ancient history. Here's that great Cardinal defense, Seth.
Well, Gold Gloves all the way around, particularly up the middle. You think about Vigna and Renteria. I don't know of a combination in the National League that turns a double play better than they do. There was some concern, not on Tony La Russa's part, he said, but about Fernando Vigna being able to play this afternoon. Remember on that base hit by David Bellucci, he dove for it, rolled over on that left wrist, but even if it was broke, Tony said Vigna would be in there.
Well, not only is he in there, I think he's got a mic on for us, so we may be able to pick up some sounds of the games, courtesy of Fernando Vigna. Junior Spivey had a hit. The guy that had multiple hit in the first game was Quentin McCracken, had a pair. Except singles off Matt Morris, but there's a single off Chuck Finley. So Spivey gets the Diamondbacks going with 1 out here in the bottom of the first.
Boomer, they're still the world champs. I know it's not the same lineup that they had hoped to have here in the divisional series. Craig Counsell out. Normally Counsell the second hitter where Junior Spivey is here this afternoon. Luis Gonzalez, all of the offense lost there. But this team in the last 2 years, Boomer, has not lost a must-win game. I think you have to consider this affair one of those.
Absolutely. So Greg Colburn hitting 3. That might raise a lot of eyes. He hits 2 a lot for Bob Brenly and the platoon. Remember, Grace was cleanup in game number 1, but Gracie's sitting against the lefty and Colburn against Finley.
He just owns left-handed pitching. And it helps his numbers. He'd be the first to tell you that he's a teammate of a left-handed pitcher named Randy Johnson. You don't have those stats up there. You get to face a lot of the other guys.
Finley with a look at Spivey, then tries to come in and in too much. 2-0 to Colburn.
That's the whole key to him. That's what Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan were telling us this morning. That's what turned him around to be a 7-4 type pitcher as opposed to 4-11 with Cleveland earlier in the year. He was able to get his fastball in on right-handed hitters. He's going to have to do that today.
Colburn, one of those guys ready when asked. Just 171 at-bats all year, except you would say he's an integral part of this ball club, although he's not one of the first 7 or 8 names you might mention if you're a casual fan.
Well, Boomer, he's without cartilage in one of his knees, and the other's really banged up still. If it weren't for that, he'd be an everyday player.
A 4-pitch walk from Finley to Colburn, and now, as we mentioned, hitting cleanup for only the 2nd time all year is Matt Williams, and he comes up with 2 on. Matty said, you know, with a kind of a little smile, the cleanup today, huh, Matt? We kind of go back away, as you know, and he said, well, it's always good to go home, isn't it? A guy that understands the cleanup position, just not here lately.
I'll tell you what, Boomer, he looks like the Matt Williams of 5 years ago. I mean, he's jumping around, particularly defensively, like a kid out there. There's life to his bat.
Finley knows that. Off speed in there for a strike. Talking to Bob Brenly before the game with our meeting with him. He said you could just tell. Why is he swinging better? Or do I know he's swinging better? The way he
takes pitches.
Right. Not like, oh, halfway around. Oh, hopefully I didn't go around. Just he said you could just see it in the body language. He hit over 300 for the month of September.
Well, that means he sees the pitch coming right out of the pitcher's hand. He's picking it up quicker.
Oh, inside the corner, and Williams didn't like it at all. Finley hit 0-2.
Well, he's saying a few things right now, but after he sees this replay, he's really going to say some things to Bill Miller, the home plate umpire. You know, when the catcher pulls it back towards the corner, even Mike Matheny knew that that pitch was a ball. A lot like a couple of pitches to Greg Colburn that weren't called strikes. But now Matty's in the hole.
Guarding the line is Roland at third. And Finley goes away very smartly. Williams swings and misses.
That's why that fastball in is so important. Even though he only throws in the upper 80s now, once you establish that in, a hitter has to get the bat started. And that's where the deception from Chuck Finley's split-fingered fastball becomes so effective. You get it started to protect that fastball in. If it's not that pitch, if it's the splitter, you're going to embarrass yourself, as Matty happened to do there.
So here is Steve Finley. 0 for 2 with a sac fly for his ribby in game number 1. Finley healthy this year. Remember last year, even though he was in there all the time, his back wasn't right. You see the numbers. Finley, and he looks at strike one. He's hitting .222 on May 10th and finished up at .287. So you know he was way over 300 for the last 4.5 months of the season. And more than any of these Diamondback hitters, he's had a history with Chuck Finley. I mean, even though they've been around so long, usually the other leagues, but Finley has crossed over. 8 for 19, 421. Finley coming in 1-1.
Stayed in there a little bit too long. He might have been thinking that was another get-over breaking ball as Chuck Finley threw for the first strike. Not only to Finley, but he threw it to Matt Williams, too. You think of Finley just a two-pitch guy, fastball, split finger. That's not the case.
Finley lays off at 2-1. And this, I should say, we have a two nickname at bat. Chuck Huckleberry Finley pitching to Steve Dorsal Finley. It's a 2 for the price of 1. It's an afternoon game. It's a twofer. Everything comes a little cheaper. Afternoon matinee prices. They almost catch Spivey napping. Renteria sneaking in. That was close.
Well, you know, Junior Spivey had some base running problems in game 1 when he got thrown out. Base hit by Matt Williams. The throw from Albert Pujols nailed him home plate because he didn't get a real good jump. Trying to get a good jump here, you know, with 2 outs, you see the guy put the ball in play. You don't have to judge whether it's going to be caught or not. With 2 outs, you go.
Fouled it, and it was right here again. They're honing in on us. The first inning, Tuesday night, was right over there. Right? This was right over here. I think if we have a wide strike zone, if we have Frank Pulley or somebody a wide strike zone, I think they got us covered, right?
I've lost some range, you could tell. I had no chance of making that play.
Chopper, seats behind the plate.
Well, a huge at bat for a lot of reasons for Chuck Finley in this situation. He knows he did not pitch well, losing both of his starts in last year's postseason. I mean, that breathing pattern right now is not normal. He's all fired up. If he can just get out of this first inning, most of the time with a guy like Finley, you'll settle down and pitch 4 or 5 more good innings. But that first one is always the toughest.
Finley to Finley. And this is at us too, just above. They are just targeting. Do you have a bullseye on your head or something?
We want to make sure we're paying attention.
We know they're listening to you. We know that.
We got caught with that in game 1.
Yeah, we did. Venice, the Merchant of Venice.
We talked about Randy Johnson changing his hands as far as his windup was concerned, and Andy Bennis was kind enough to remind us of that.
Big pitch here in the bottom of the first. 2-2 delivery, and we'll do it again. They got a lot of pitches out of Finley here.
Well, they saw a lot of pitches all year long. They had the best on-base percentage in the National League. There's the split finger. You can just see it tumbling somewhat. Inner half of the plate. Finley just getting another piece of it. See the tumbling rotation down.
20th pitch of the inning set for Finley. To Finley. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Full count. And now everybody going. Like this, and especially Spivey, who can move and behind him Colbert, who doesn't move so well. But that changes some things on certain type of base hits. You kind of a close single-double type hit, you might get 2 runs. Where normally you wouldn't with Colbert at first. Renneria is going to try and make sure that Spivey doesn't get a huge lead shading in behind him. And it is a strike, and it was almost like pause for dramatic effect. Finley smartly ran down to first, but to strike out and the throw to first, and the Diamondbacks strand a pair. We've played one, scoreless.
Hi, folks. Welcome to our baseball studios with Jeff Brantley. I'm Carl Ravitch. The American League Division Series, both with the off day. Both the Yankees and Angels flew last night after the game at Yankee Stadium, in which we saw Joe Torre's bullpen blow up.
Well, Mike Scioscia has great confidence in all of his players. He shows it every day, and they show it back to him right here. Back-to-back home runs in the 8th inning puts this game away.
Angels win it by a score of 8-6. It'll be Yankees-Angels Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on the ABC Family Network. A's Twins comes your way at 4 Eastern. Boomer.
Well, thank you, Carl. And we're back in time to see the first pitch fouled off by Scott Rowland. Scotty just, I mean, it couldn't have been a better picture-perfect first postseason game for him. Coming over from the Philadelphia Phillies in the late July, he said, yeah, well, I had to do something after I struck out. You know, always, Got in on the hands and got him.
Well, there's a difference between being hit on the hands by a normal pitcher and then a guy like Curt Schilling that throws in the upper 90s. This could have a big effect on this series before it's all said and done. Barry Weinberg, the trainer for the St. Louis Cardinals, out to take a look at it, and that's nothing but baseball on bone right there. One thing that Schilling doesn't do a lot of, Boomer. I mean, he's normally a fastball away guy. Might be down, might be elevated. He has control of both of those zones. Very seldom does he come in. I think that was the reason Scott Rowland was so surprised and not able to move.
So that'll bring up 2 guys that got to know each other late in October and in November as well. Tino Martinez against Curt Schilling. Certainly got good views of each other in games 1, 4, and 7 of that World Series when Tino was finishing up his final year as a New York Yankee.
Why do they keep swinging at the first pitch, Bono? What's that all about?
No,
he's not going to walk you, is he?
No, he's not going to walk. But you knew they would. I mean, you know, and part of the reason, and I'll answer part of that, not that you need me to tell you, but I asked Rowland about it, and he said, look, with some guys, if we lay off some, let's get them deep into the pitch count. He said, we know that Schilling and Johnson are going 135 pitches anyway. So even if we thought, well, let's see if we can make 6 or 7 pitches at bat, those guys aren't going to come out when they've thrown 105 pitches. So that part of waiting goes away. Spivey had a tough play to Womack, and so they only get the front man rolling. Tino wanted to field his choice.
Well, I think that's another big difference between these 2 clubs, Boomer. The St. Louis Cardinals would have turned that double play, particularly with the lack of speed by St. Louis's first baseman. You get set here. Look at how long it took for him to get his feet into position, and then that's just a horrible throw there. You've got the athletic Scott Rowland bearing down on him. Womack just trying to get out of the way, but no speed whatsoever with Tino Martinez, yet they weren't able to turn it. I think Vigna gets that double play executed.
As we see them not be able to turn it, the Diamondbacks 116 double plays this year, Rick, lowest in the National League.
Well, you know, Junior Spivey's learning to play that position. We also know Tony Womack has played other positions. He's been an outfielder. He came up as a second baseman in the big leagues.
Edgar Renneria up the middle. Womack dives. He flipped to Spivey in time to get Tino. So there's some defense from Womack and another fielder's choice, although that one a lot more impressive than the first one.
Watch the quickness right here. Look at that ball right back up the middle. That's a base hit with 1 out, first and third. What should have been, thought to have been. But wait a minute. Womack, we know his quickness. I mean, he's led the league in stolen bases many times. How about this effort right there on the part? Finley was charging real hard, but I'll guarantee you that would have been first and third, one out, had Womack not come up with that.
And the Cardinals are saying Tony Womack again in this part. Remember, he had the hit that won the 5-game series last year in the ninth. Mike Matheny swings and misses. What a surprise. Strike one.
I thought this might be the one guy in the lineup that could walk here this afternoon. Reason being, Chuck Finley spent all of his career in the American League, not swinging the bat until this season. You don't want to let Matheny beat you with the pitcher on deck.
Off speed in tight. 1-1. Schilling keeping an eye on Renteria, who of the runners, Roland, Tino Martinez, and Edgar Renteria, the one by far most likely to get something going.
And I think that throw over came from manager Bob Brindley. We saw him flashing some signs to Damian Miller. Damian will in turn put down a sign to throw over to first base.
Very ingenious sign. That bubble, the bubble burst, you throw it over. There goes the runner. Miller's throw. It's a good jump by Renteria. Boy, that was a fine throw. But Renteria had a nice jump and a tough tie to get a read on.
He also picked the perfect pitch to run on. A real difficult ball to handle for Damian Miller. Take a look at the jump. All right, he's off and running. Not a bad jump. You know he's got good speed, but it was an off-speed pitch. A couple of things happen. One, it takes longer to get to home plate. That gives the base runner an opportunity to get closer to second. The other is the catcher has to stay back. If it's a fastball, you can kind of cheat a little bit. You know there's not going to be a lot of movement on it. But with that being the split finger, if it bounced, Damian Miller would have to block that pitch first of all. You can see why he's a gold glove type catcher year in, year out.
2 steals in 2 games here in Arizona for Renteria, his 8th postseason steal. He had just 22 on the regular season, but you can see obviously he's been going here.
Well, that's how tough it is to steal a base off this combination. You got to pick the perfect pitch to get there, and it's still close.
Matheny didn't like it. He'll get to continue his conversation when he gets behind the plate with home plays umpire Bill Miller. But Finley ends another inning with a K. No score. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here in Phoenix. At bottom of the 2nd inning, no score between the Cards and D-backs. Game 2 of this National League Division Series. Sellout crowd of 49,000 plus, and one whom we'll show you in a minute. One less color on the sleeve of Chuck Finley. Bruce Fremming, the crew chief, who's the right plate umpire, came down and talked with Chuck Finley and said, what is he telling me or said about his undergarment?
Well, between innings, Bob Brindley came out and talked to home plate umpire Bill Miller. He went down to the crew chief, Bruce Fremming, to tell him what Brindley was complaining about. That was the 2 different sleeves that Chuck Finley had on when he pitched the bottom of the 1st inning.
So as he starts McCracken off here with a ball, he had white and the blue. So he had a white shirt that was extending below that, and I guess that you can lose the baseball in that.
Well, it looks like he still has the white shirt on. You see the collar up there still being white. He just trimmed them both up.
Well, I mean, he wants to look good. I mean,
well, and too, there's a lot of superstitious type things.
See here.
See the left arm there?
Doesn't look like much on this shot, but
there it is. And nobody is allowed to wear white sleeves because a lot of times the baseball will get caught up in the look of that sleeve.
So Sleevegate is now figured out, resolved here in Arizona, and Quentin McCracken has looked at ball 2. The count is 2-1. McCracken, the lone Diamondback with a multi-hit game, 2 singles. Really had 6 singles going off Morris.
I think more than anything, that's just a mind game that Bob Brindley's trying to play on Chuck Finley.
7 hits, I should say, but they kept them all nice and low. Diamondbacks, all told, had 8 hits. What a job, and you pointed it out. Emotional, yes, but just from a baseball standpoint, the Cards have their ace.
He's back. He pitched just as well in game one as he did last year in the postseason. Problem was Curt Schilling was a little better.
Ball will find the seats off the bat of McCracken. Matt Morris, as we spoke about in game number one, so close to his mentor, the late Darryl Kyle. His jersey just omnipresent, even on the road. A full locker, the 2 jerseys. Tony La Russa having Kyle's red jersey in his office. Matt Morris leading everyone with the number 57 DK's number on the hat. And those hugs that we saw when he came off were more than just, hey, that's a great pitching job in game one of a postseason series. And it was late for a lot of people, and they didn't see that, but it was cannot be underscored. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's normally a lot of high fives and pats on the back that will happen after a start like that, but there was a lot of grown men that were hugging each other and a little teary-eyed, you know, thinking about just how far they have come, and really in particular, I mean, Matt Morris took it tougher than any one of the Cardinal players.
Full now to McCracken.
It really helped a lot as we look at Flynn Kyle with the sunglasses on. That's Barry Axelrod beside her, a longtime friend and also the agent of Darryl Kyle. They came over for game one, talked to Matt Morris before he started that game.
McCracken thought he had ball 4. Instead, Finley gets strike 3. Leadoff man gone in the second.
That was the biggest problem Chuck Finley had during the regular season, was retiring the leadoff man. He has done it in both of the innings here this afternoon. If he can continue that trend without Luis Gonzalez and without Craig Counsell, without Danny Bautista in this lineup, well, his job could be a lot easier.
Here is the all-star catcher for the Diamondbacks, Damian Miller. Such a thrill for him to play home state. All-star game in Milwaukee. Manager Bob Brenly. It shows 3 catchers in the all-star squad. One of them the La Crosse, Wisconsin native.
Boy, it's been a tough second half of the season for him. 42 RBIs on the year. 22 of those, though, came in the first month of April. So offensively, physically, not Damian Miller at the 100% level we've seen in the past.
Inside to Miller. Count is 2-1. Well, you mentioned it. I mean, it's not often that you go into the postseason with your first 3 games starting 3 different catchers. Chad Moeller starting game 1. He catches Johnson. We'll see Rod Barajas game 3 for St. Louis, rather for Arizona. But Miller has his stroke back now. This is going to run all the way to the 413 sign in left center. And Damian Miller, maybe the least likely in this lineup, with an extra base knock.
Boomer, the crowd's really excited about this double, but I'm a little surprised, a little disappointed at Damian Miller not thinking about a triple. There's 1 out. How important would that be to get there? You can see the ball getting through into the gap, and then look at Jim Edmonds not exactly playing that carom right. Let's take a look at Damian Miller here, though. All right, that's a pretty good effort right there, but look at this. All of a sudden now, what's going on here? All of a sudden he pulled up, where if he continues to bear down, I think he could have gotten to third base.
Especially, we've seen 2 strange caroms in the respective corners with that little pillar out there at the respective 413 holes. His last triple, by the way, was 98, so he was figuring, it's been 4 years. I agree 100% with you. I was surprised too.
I just couldn't believe he pulled up there as he rounded the bag. You pull up when you see the throw headed in.
This is a reclamation project, and it's been a project that's been well received here in Arizona. Mark Little began the years with the Rockies, was with the Mets 2 months ago, designated for assignment, playing in AAA Norfolk. In August, pitcher P.J. Bevis sent to the Mets organization for Mark Little. Here he is starting in game 2 in left field. Who would have known Luis Gonzalez would be hurt?
You know, had Damian Miller been able to get to third base, that would have changed the whole complexion of this inning. Now I would imagine you intentionally walk Miller to get to the pitcher spot. You know, with Schilling on the mound, runs are going to be hard to come by. Even if you get Schilling out, Tony Womack would have gotten a hit in this inning. Womack had the single that won Game 5 against the Cardinals a year ago.
Little will sit. 2 strikeouts this inning for Finley. That's 4 thus far. And now here is Curt Schilling.
The biggest reason that Mark Little's in the lineup is because of his defense. With a fly ball type pitcher like Curt Schilling, you want the best possible defensive outfield you can put out there. That was the reason he was in the lineup today. You would have liked to have had David DeLucci's type bat in there, but you sacrifice one thing for the other.
Here's the good news with Curt Schilling at the plate. His 15 hits this year were the most he's ever had in a season. You know, the bad news is he's a career hitter below 174 is about as good as he's going to do. He's a career hitter in the 140s.
Let's see if he hits the ball or tries to hit the ball back up the middle.
Well, almost. But Vina is there, takes his turn to Tino Martinez. Miller stranded with a double, and we've played 2. What a surprise. Curt Schilling and the Cardinals in a scoreless game in the postseason. Our coverage of the divisional round of the baseball playoffs continues this year on ABC Family. Glad you could be with us. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe, here in the home of the champs, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and nobody a bigger champ than this guy on the mound, Curt Schilling. 23 wins this season. Co-MVP of the postseason, the World Series last year with Randy Johnson. Pitching twice in that series on 3 days rest to go 1-4-7. The first guy to do that in the World Series since another guy who was outstanding in postseason, Jack Morris. He did that, of course, for the 91 Twins in that stellar 7-game series. So 1-4-7. I mean, that's old-time baseball. You just don't see it anymore. Schilling did that. Now he pitches against Chuck Finley, whose at-bats have been minimal throughout his career. Only a little interleague until this year. I mean, it just has not had the opportunity to swing the bat in a big strike zone, and you wouldn't be surprised that here's 0-2. Didn't get him to bite.
I'll tell you what, though, I got to go back to Curt Schilling pitching games 1, 4, and 7 on less than normal rest. There are a lot of guys in the last 20 years that have tried that. Big name guys with not near the success he had.
Finley waves at that, and he's gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ks thus far for Schilling, who was right behind Randy Johnson in the strikeout race, of course. And I mean, look at that. 6 starts, of course, 4 and 7. He did not get a decision. Game 1 and 5 against St. Louis. Game 3 against Atlanta. All complete game victories, we should point out. And then game 1, where they had the lead and took them out in a big lead after 7 innings. And against the Yankees. And then game 4, Bob Brunley second guessed by a lot of folks. He thought it was the right move. Some of the rest of us thought it was the right move. Schilling pitched tremendous. He also pitched that 7th game until Soriano hit the home runs. I mean, the ERA just over 1 in 6 postseason outings. Unreal. We may not see many come close to that. I don't care how many years we play. Fernando Vina hitting this well to center. Steve Finley has to go back a lot longer than he had planned, right at the edge of the track, but he makes the catch for 2 outs.
He makes things happen, doesn't he? Not really your conventional type leadoff hitter that works the count, that draws a lot of base on balls, but he just finds a way to make things happen. And there were a lot of the Cardinal players that were predicting before this series started that Fernando Vina would have a big one.
J.D. Drew struck out in the first inning, but fouling many a pitch back. That was a good at bat. Schilling got the better of it.
Look at the adjustment he's made, though. 2 off-speed pitches to both the first 2 hitters the second time around. Curt Schilling is not only talented, but he's smarter than most pitchers on the mound. He sees what you're trying to do, and even though his game plan was to throw a first pitch fastball for a strike, he said, you know, if you're going to swing at it, I can do something else. Take a look at the last pitch he threw to Chuck Finley, and this, watch the glove and the movement on that glove. See how it kind of just opens up a little bit? That's normally what happens when a pitcher goes in to get a split-fingered fastball. Your fingers go around the sides of the baseball, and the glove will occasionally open up. There's the splitter right there. You take a look at it. I mean, if this is what happens in the glove. All right, you get your fingers around it, and to do that, you have to kind of fan the glove. Well, when you go to the fastball, the glove can collapse, and that's what we saw Curt Schilling do in the last couple of weeks of the season. Some of the hitters were able to pick that up. It looks like he's trying to fix that now. See how the glove's open? Look at very little movement in that glove.
Foul ball by J.D. Drew, one-time bonus baby who would not sign, therefore didn't get any bonus from the Philadelphia Phillies. And
about the poor Phillies, man. You look at J.D. Drew and you look at Scott Rowland
and Curt Schilling.
Those are Philly guys.
Yeah, they are.
No wonder they struggled this year.
Drew the other way. Mark Little going back. It's back, and it's gone. J.D. Drew, for the second time in 8 days, has hit a homer off Curt Schilling. For the second time in postseason, has hit a homer off Curt Schilling. And it's 1-0 Cardinals.
Boomer, he's been banged up all year long, but when he's healthy, he is that type of player. Last Tuesday in a big game, he hit a home run off Matt Manti. Take a look at this pitch. I mean, that is paint on the outside corner, down and away. You're supposed to be okay. Take a look at the glove movement there. See how it fans open a little bit. All right, that means that he's got that fixed. J.D. Drew did not know what was coming there. He had no idea. He is just that talented. It was in Game 5, the only run Curt Schilling allowed in that series last year against the Cardinals. It was by a home run from J.D. Drew.
I mean, you know, J.D. Drew's a nice hitter, but we're not talking about Barry Bonds here. For him to have the success against a pitcher who has pitched the last 2 years, and really his career, but the last 2 years, like Curt Schilling, is an eye-opener. I mean, there's nothing.
It certainly is a crowd quieter.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years here. It's not like, okay, I had a good at bat in a couple of games against him. It's a pretty tough guy to own. I mean,
I don't care who you are. This lineup of St. Louis is going to score runs. They are that good. The scary part for Bob Brenly's team is the fact that he doesn't know if his team can score runs, regardless of who's on the mound. Matt Morris could have thrown 20 innings in Game 1. They weren't going to score again. He was that locked in, and offensively right now, it's clear Arizona's just not at full strength.
The 2-2 pitch to Jim Edmonds. Coming in and left is Little. And he makes the catch. But J.D. Drew has broken open the deadlock. His homer makes it 1-0 Cards. The pool. Well, every ballpark has its. Fenway has the green monster. Wrigley has the ivy.
Well, how nice would it be to go out there and hang in that pool?
Well, you could shoot some hoops. The Swami took a venture out there yesterday to make his picks, figuring I've been underwater the last couple of weeks, frankly, that I thought I might get some vibes there and see if the waves were riding a little differently out here.
Was there a bathing suit involved?
No, I wouldn't drop that on America. I don't think they need to see me belly flop into any pool.
Well, you didn't have a coat and tie on, did you?
No, I have my, as Tony Womack, quickly behind 0-2 to Chuck Finley. Womack reaches out. Coming on is Jimmy Edmonds. Makes it look so easy out there, and there is one. I know I have my Tommy Bahama shirt and little shorts, hoping to very Joe Namath-like guarantee a couple of picks.
At one time you said that in a former life you might have been Tommy Bahama.
I think I at least wear his shirts. Yes,
I tell you what,
I was Tommy Bahama.
They have a good time in this ballpark, don't they? I mean, how many smiles do you see here in Phoenix now that they have built this beautiful facility for their team?
They smile because they got a pretty darn good ball club. As a junior spivey up, you can rent the pool for a group where you got your own concession stand out there. There's a keg, and you got the pool. But you can tell the importance of this game. They're all standing, leaning over the top. There are very few in the pool now that there's action. Spivey may give them some action, but J.D. Drew alert and coming on. So ball's hanging a little bit and a couple of fly ball outs. Baseball continues tonight. It's only a National League night. So the Giants did some hitting in Atlanta against Glavine. Try their hand against Kevin Millwood. It's a game with Fox. Our friend Tommy Brenneman was here the other night. Right? I think Tommy has the call on this. And then it's all American League tomorrow. ABC Family will have the A's and Twins. You'll be going up there to join.
We'll be there.
Dave O'Brien and Tony Gwynn at 4 Eastern, 1 on the 3 Central, 1 on the West Coast. And then Yankees Angels, ABC Family from Anaheim with John and Joe from the Big E. How about those Angels? I will say this. All right, we've had 6 games thus far in the postseason. Nobody had to use up their number 1 starter to clinch a playoff berth the last game of the year. My point is, against starters number 1 and 2, we have not had a pitcher's duel yet. There have been a couple of good pitching performances. Morris here in game 1, Mark Agent Mulder yesterday for Oakland, but 12 runs, 8 runs, 6 runs, 9 runs. I mean,
hard to explain.
As soon as Joaquin Andujar was right. You can sum up baseball with one word. You never know.
To me, the most amazing thing is how the runs have been scored, Boomer. You don't hit home runs off great pitchers. I mean, you get runs from time to time, but you just don't hit that many home runs in the postseason as they already have this year.
Just the number, the total of the runs. I mean, I think back to this series alone. Arizona, St. Louis. 1-0, 2-1. And it was grabbed, and so Greg Colburn is gone. A very impressive inning, pitching with the lead for Chuck Finley. 1, 2, 3. Speaking of the pool holes coming up. J.D. Drew's home run. The reason the Cards lead 1-0 top of the 4th, and now the cleanup hitter, Albert Winnie the Pujols, to step up against Curt Schilling. So what do the Cardinal batters know? Do they know anything?
Well, we think we got something again. He's made a little bit of an adjustment as far as throwing out the windup is concerned, but he's repeating something as he's throwing his pitches. This is not only is it a veteran ball club in St. Louis, but it's a veteran coaching staff. Dave McKay, Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, as good as they get at picking little things up.
Steve Finley will squeeze this, and Pujols is gone.
Let's take a look at it right now, Boomer. We're going to break it down. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We thought we saw something with Curt Schilling. Watch the glove on the left right now. See if there's any movement whatsoever as he takes off. None, right? The glove doesn't move. Watch the one on the right. Take a look at this now. Watch what happened. What happened? Look at how it fans out. Well, why does it fan? All right, take a look at from the backside. Watch what he does. See the splitter? See him go to the fastball and fan the glove? When the glove went out, J.D. Drew might have known a fastball was coming.
But now look, and that is ripped by Scott Rowland through the hole on the right side. So Scotty hit by pitch and a single is aboard both times. All right, let me ask you this. That's not a huge glove movement you just showed. I'm not saying that the batter can pick that up. He's just looking at the glove. Seriously, that's not a huge movement. I'm the batter. I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm ready.
Right here, Boomer. Just a little flip right like that.
You can see that on a black glove?
You know what? If Curt Schilling only does it 90% of the time, I don't want to know. All right, I don't want to guess wrong. I don't want to look fastball and get a breaking ball. But if he's doing that 100% of the time, that's the only chance you've got to get a hit off a guy that throws 98 at the knees. He's got a breaking ball. He's got a split. That's why coaches are so important, and that's why Tony La Russa has spent so long with the same coaching staff he had. They help you win ball games.
Tino Martinez up against Curt Schilling. And you're wondering, okay, Tino, fielder's choice in the first inning. In the World Series last year, faced Schilling 8 times. 1 for 8 with an RBI single. We're going to be going back to that World Series forever. That'll be one of those reference points when baseball is discussed. Tino and Schilling certainly in the middle. What we were interesting to see in this postseason is if Tino Martinez will have an at-bat against Byung-Hyun Kim. They have not seen each other since the 9th inning of game before.
You know, I love what the Cardinals were talking about in the clubhouse. You think they'd be happy, all right? They got a victory off Randy Johnson, but they weren't. I mean, they weren't thinking, okay, we got our win. Now we know it's going back home. We can win it there. They want this ball game today even more, it seems like, than they wanted the first one. And you know Randy Johnson wants an opportunity to get back out on that mound.
Tino hits it to right center field. Hangs up there for Steve Finley. Rolling 2/3 of the way to second. Now scoots back to first. There's 2 out.
Tino doesn't have a whole lot to show for his at-bats here in just the first couple of games, but he has been real close to doing some damage. Lined out a couple of times in game 1. You think about the base hit and the stolen base by Renteria standing on second in that 4th inning with nobody out. Sure, it was just a ground ball to second, but it moved the runner to third. He eventually scored.
Pitch to Edgar Renteria is ball 1, as we outlined for you on Tuesday night. Talk about recent postseason heroes, of which the guy on the mound certainly is one, Curt Schilling. Edgar Renteria, certainly no stranger to the spotlight, and successful spotlight in October. 2-hopper to Womack, over to Spivey. Rowland retired, and so are the Cardinals. We're headed to the bottom of the 4th here in Arizona. 1-0 St. Louis. Cardinals lead the D-backs 1-0 on J.D. Drew's home run, and thus far shutout pitching from midseason acquisition Chuck Finley. The 39-year-old lefty says he knows exactly when he's on his game.
I know when I'm throwing well and it feels well is when it feels like somebody's just sucking the ball out of my hand. I don't even feel it leave my hand. It just feels like somebody's just taking it and pulling it away from me, and it's effortless. That's when you know the timing, the landing, your positioning, your arm angle, everything is at a perfect point.
Thus far, it looks pretty fluid to us, Sut.
And what he's talking about is that split-fingered fastball that he's gotten most of his strikeouts on here this afternoon. It just comes out clean. It's not dragging. There's not anything that's keeping that ball from having the rotation he needs to get the strikeouts on that pitch in the dirt.
Finley begins the 4th inning with Matt Williams. 2 guys that have been around since the 80s, yet 2 guys who hardly know each other, certainly in the regular season. They know each other from spring training at bats, all those years of Angels Giants, and most particularly at Angels Diamondbacks.
Those don't really count.
Well, I understand that. That's my point. I asked Matty about him, and he said, I've only hit against him a few times.
That ball, just as Chuck said, being sucked out of his hand. That's a little 2-seam fastball, the outer half, trying to get a ground ball.
Williams, though, times this one, sends it way back in center field. Back, but not far enough. He picked the deepest part of the yard, deeper than straight center, right at the 413 sign, and Jim Edmonds just breaks their hearts here in Arizona, doesn't he?
You know, and it's amazing to me how Jim Edmonds knew right off the bat he had a play on this ball. Everybody in the ballpark thought it was gone, including Chuck Finley, including Matt Williams. But Jim Edmonds knew. Look at him back there. He's like, oh, my goodness. Got away with 1.
Great shot, guys.
And only because that was the part of the ballpark that the ball was hit. That ball is out anywhere else.
And maybe out if the roof is open. Maybe. We'll never know. This one almost hits the roof. Steve Finley skies it in our double nickname at bat. And Vina makes the play, and they're 2 gone.
You know, we're told that this roof being open or closed has a lot to do with how the baseball carries. Now, I was told before the game the reason the roof was closed today, not so much the heat, I mean, it's a beautiful day outside, is the fact that the shadows that are created when it's open makes it real difficult for outfielders and also for guys to hit.
Well, although, postseason baseball should have the shadows. That's part of baseball lore. I'm not saying it's wrong to have it closed. It just...
Well, this thing with the roof it has here creates even more than normal shadows on that baseball field. And it's tough to hit what you can't see.
I tell you what else it does, because I talked to Steve Finley about it a bit, about roof open close for a center fielder. He said, do you lose it in the roof? He goes, absolutely the other way. I lose it in the sun because it comes in some odd angles. So for center field, I would much rather have the roof closed. Yeah, oftentimes if you want to, you lose it like the Homer Dome and things like that. We've seen a lot of putouts made by the center fielders in this game, getting good visions and good jumps. See? It's just some rays of sunlight coming into some of the airport hangar type windows that they have way out in left center and right center.
That's the only shadows we have here are for the left fielder to deal with. The rest of the ballpark is clean.
Actually reverse shadows because that's the sun coming in. Center fielders have been very, very busy. Finley and Edmonds have been busy. Edmonds making 2 of the putouts. Another 1-2-3 inning for Chuck Finley. Top of the 5th inning here in Arizona. The Diamondbacks almost tied it on a long blast by Matt Williams, but between innings, here's Chuck Finley, who's never pitched in this park. Sutton is center fielder Jimmy Edmonds, and is Finn saying, boy, you know, I could like it here, giving up a shot like that to center, and it's not even close to going out.
I think they're probably laughing at how many times Chuck Finley has sent Jim Edmonds to the warning track and beyond to run down mistakes that he has made.
Should say that as a member of the Indians, as Schilling starts Matheny off with a strike, no surprise. Finley did pitch against this ball club once. He was with Cleveland. Arizona beat him 4-2 in Jacobs Field in late June. That's really the reference point that these batters have against Chuck Finley. None else. Spivey squeezes it. Mike Matheny is gone.
Chuck Finley is real close to getting done exactly what Tony La Russa wanted this afternoon. And that's 5, maybe 6 good solid innings. Give us a lead and an opportunity to hand it over to that bullpen. He feels like they've got a huge advantage down there, as good as they've been this year.
Here is Finley at the plate.
And that advantage started to come out back in game 1. They just flat blew it open in the 7th inning with all of those runs off the Arizona bullpen.
1-1 to Finley. 94 this year, and in his career, not a lot of at-bats.
And it shows.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can't hide it.
Well, you know, we've
53 at bats coming into this game, lifetime.
Talked about players when they change leagues, how it's difficult to adjust to the league and the new pitchers. Well, it's a guy that not only adjusting to a new league, but having a piece of wood in his hand.
Well, and still in his hand as he goes back to the bench. So striker number 6 now for Curt Schilling, and it's college football on Thursday on ESPN. Clemson and Florida State. Oh, you know, Bobby Bowden has those Seminoles want to come back from that Thursday debacle in the rain at Louisville. That'll be at 7:30 on Thursday night. Illinois, Minnesota. ESPN 2 at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 out west, 7 Central for that game. Main game, Clemson and Florida State coming on Thursday night. Fernando Vina a little ahead of that one. One hopper off the bullpen, off the dugout.
He doesn't care what it is, does he, Vina? I mean, if it's somewhere where he can put a bat on it, he's going to take a swing at it. I remember Mark McGuire saying that Vina's always been a pain in the rear. That's just the way he described it. He said, well, now he's our pain.
Right, right. And he continues to be a pain to the Diamondbacks as Vina goes the other way for a base hit. So Fernando, who had 3 hits in game 1, now has 2 hits in game 2. 5 already in a game and a half.
Well, and look at what he's done now because of his speed. Curt Schilling has to somewhat respect that. I don't look to see Vina going anywhere, though, because of the guy standing at home plate and the success that lately J.D. Drew has had against Schilling and Arizona. Get fooled by those numbers. That 250 average. He was hurt all year long, basically.
Word into the left field seats with the lone run in this game in the third inning. Struck out in the first. Did Drew?
I think that's a legitimate concern that the Cardinals have with JD, though. They know he's talented. I mean, he's got power, he can fly, all of the tools are there, but is he going to be able to stay healthy or not?
That one just foul and wide of Colburn at first. Well, he's had a couple of at-bats, one where he fouled off a bunch and then Cade, and then fouled off a bunch and then deposited it into the seats in left for the lone run of the game.
Did you see what a short stroke that was, though? I mean, that wasn't a long swing, just a quick little take the knob of the bat to the baseball, and how far it went.
Matt Williams, Mark Little, Tony Womack, and it's Williams that makes the play in foul ground. So Drew retired, Cardinals retired, 1-0 St. Louis heading to the bottom of the fifth. Relatively quiet Bank One ballpark as the world champ Arizona Diamondbacks, nothing doing yet against Chuck Finley. Here we go to the bottom of the fifth, and the bottom of the order, Damian Miller, Mark Little, and Curt Schilling. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you. Glad you could join us for game 2 of this series between the D-backs and the St. Louis Cardinals. Miller's double, you saw that he hit in the second inning, the last hit allowed by Chuck Finley, just 2 today. A single by Spivey in the first, a double by Miller here in the second. And, you know, they weren't sure. You know, Finley, you mentioned his record with Cleveland, which was 4-11, and you figure, well, we're just hoping. Everything that happened, and not only the tragedy with Darryl Kyle, but with the injuries up and down the line of the St. Louis pitchers, and really not knowing who they were going to use. 26 pitchers employed by the Cardinals this year, and although Turner Lewis is telling us that the scouts on Finley said he still has a live arm, even though he's in this year. And there's the general manager, Walt Jocketty, who talk about guys that make moves at critical times. Has he not pulled the strings pretty well every year for the Cards and with Oakland and places before?
All started with Mark McGwire. He was able to get Mac. That is the life that they were talking about still left in Chuck Finley's arm. That's what Walt Jocketty noticed. You got a 3-1 count. The leadoff hitter, he knows he's going to get a fastball, and he just threw it right by Damian Miller on that pitch.
He's been rewarded for that faith with his 7-4 mark here with St. Louis. And Miller is a walk. And the problem for Arizona, laud the Cardinals with Finley, is you pointed it out. Tino Martinez may have had the hit of this series, and it happened last week. And we don't mean it as a joke at all. This foul, this ball down the line in St. Louis, and Luis Gonzalez separating his shoulder. The most dangerous hitter in this lineup.
By far, one of the most dangerous hitters in all of baseball. Just a year ago, 57 homers for Gonzo. He was pitched different this year.
Where do they find the production? I mean, they need it. You said that they're not sure. You had Mark Gray sitting clean up the first game, and he didn't even know he'd be playing hardly at all in this postseason a month ago.
Well, here's what has to happen right now. Bob Brenly has got to take some chances. You can't just sit back and wait on the homers to come. They're going to be few and far between. What do you do when you're a manager by taking chances? You pick the right spot to hit and run. This could be it here.
1-0 count to Mark Little, starting in left in place of Gonzo behind that one. We told you before that Luis Gonzalez threw out the first pitch just a couple days after that surgery. Successful, we understand. And there it is, a big ovation of Chris Donalds, who made the squeeze there behind the plate. And Gonzo here at the park in uni. Not in uni, but certainly you saw the Diamondbacks jacket, hoping maybe he can help his team subliminally to get some runs. And he's back in the dugout on cue. He's hoping to. That's such an awful feeling. I mean, he can't do anything about it. You're a teammate. You're such an integral part of the season, and what a season we had last year. And you feel helpless.
you know, when things are only going to get worse for Arizona. The world champs have to go on the road after the game this afternoon. And they were a completely different ball club on the road, not hitting near as much. And you take Luis Gonzalez's 300 average on the road away, well, it gets even worse.
Not to mention the scene that we're going to see in St. Louis. That's unbelievable. Is there anyone that goes to the park without red?
No. Unless the Cubs
do they make them go back to like a souvenir set? You can come in, sir or madam, but please would you buy something red first? Oh, now you're welcome. That's great. That scene in St. Louis and the scene we're going to see in Minnesota starting tomorrow are tremendous.
You know, I'm so happy for the Cardinal fans. They've had tears in their eyes almost all year long. They're finally going to get an opportunity to go to the ballpark and scream.
You saw that in that series midweek against Arizona last week. It was as if they were themselves getting ready for the postseason, the fans. 2-2 to Little. And that'll be fun. One other footnote on that is that Tino Martinez and Luis Gonzalez have been friends since they were 5 years old. They both went to Jefferson High School in Tampa. By the way, the same high school as Tony La Russa. Tony predates them a little bit. And Tino felt almost as bad. I just can't believe it's him and I'm the ball I hit. And when he threw that first pitch out, who was standing there doing his laps?
Nobody was clapping louder than his buddy Tino.
Here's a strikeout of Little. And there is one down. We talked to Tino Martinez about exactly that. He was getting ready to play against his longtime friend Luis Gonzalez. Now he's not.
I'm disappointed. You know, I know that he's disappointed and frustrated. It's a terrible thing that happened. I'm just as frustrated as he is. You know, having been in the postseason the last few years, when you lead your team and you play hard all year long like he does, you have a great year, you get your team back to the postseason. The last thing you want is an injury, especially the last week of the season that you can't recover from and help your team out of the postseason. So I know what he feels like just sitting there on the bench. It's going to be frustrating for him, but like he said, it's part of baseball, and hopefully, you know, he'll get strong, come back next year, and have another great year.
You know, we talked to Gonzo the last day of the year on our ESPN game and asked him, you know, if he would have done things any different, and he said, I don't know how. I don't know how not to play hard. I had a chance to catch that ball. I went for it, and you know what? That's the way the ball bounces, unfortunately, sometimes.
Curt Schilling squared, pulled it away, now tries to drop it down. Look at Matheny like a cat, and can they turn to? Almost. Wow, you saw Gold Glove quality catching from Matheny right there.
All the way around. You saw it from Renteria as well. I'm a little bit surprised just the sacrifice bunt attempted there. That would have been the second out of the inning, even though you had a runner in scoring position. I mean, hits are going to be hard to come by. I kind of look for a hit and run there, or, you know, just get the runner in motion, maybe try to create a first and third situation. They weren't able to do that. Almost ended the inning with that terrific effort on the part of both Matheny and Renteria.
So 2 outs, Schilling at first, Tony Womack up. 1-0 St. Louis, bottom of the 5th here in Arizona. Everyone knows what's at stake. Can the Cardinals come in here and beat Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling and possibly go to St. Louis up 2-0? The only time that Schilling and Johnson were beaten back-to-back turns in the rotation happened late August when the San Francisco Giants beat it. It's only happened once this year. Can the Cards do it as well? That's your plot right there, son. And when the two of them start, the record of the team, 55-15, not including last night. The rest of the staff, when they start, 6 below 500. So now you're St. Louis and you have a chance to beat those two guys. I think they'll take their chances. But we have a long way to go here. Foul ball.
Well, that long way to go, though, is getting shorter. They are down to 13 outs right now in this ball game. They've got to make something happen offensively.
offensively as this man's homer in the third. J.D. Drew, 1-0. Schilling beat Matt Morris in game 1 here last year. Now he's staring at a 1-0 deficit a year later in game 2 against Finley. That'll be fun. How about the job that Finley has done? I mean, they really don't know. Woody Williams, would he be healthy, probably would have been game 2 starter. Yes?
No question about that. But the reason Chuck Finley has gotten it turned around, watch the split finger fastball. Watch the movement on that. Look at Matheny all over it. He had already hit the ground to keep that ball in front of him. There is a lot of life left in that arm of Chuck Finley. And you know what? I mean, he feels like a kid again getting this opportunity.
Blocked nicely by Matheny.
Well, you know, you didn't get the sacrifice bunt down, but if Matheny doesn't do that, you would have had the runner in scoring position. So much confidence by both of these pitchers here this afternoon in their catchers.
Two and two, the count to Womack with 2 out. Now look, I understand that Curt Schilling is not going to be Ricky Henderson running on 3-2 and 2 outs. However, he will be moving. And who knows how that'll play if Womack just gets a bleeder going.
You better hit it out of the ballpark if you're going to try to score him here.
I didn't say score him.
I'll tell you this, he's going to get a good pitch to hit, because the one guy that really concerns Finley this afternoon is Junior Spivey, and he's on deck.
And he does put it in play, but they're not going first to third at this moment. But Arizona, all of a sudden, with a little bit going for the first time since the first inning, with a couple on board, and here comes Spivey.
What's the difference in this ball game right now? Well, all of a sudden, it's not J.D. Drew and the home run that he hit. It's the terrific defensive play made by Mike Matheny. When he came up with the bunt that was put down by Curt Schilling and threw out Damian Miller at second base, that kept that base hit from Tony Womack from possibly driving in a run.
Spivey singled to first, singled to left in the first, flew out to left in the third. Crowd into it. Strike 1 for Finley.
It just shows you how well Chuck Finley has pitched as of late. The confidence Tony La Russa showing in him now, leaving him out there. You're back to the heart of the lineup. I know you say he's only 1 out away from possibly getting a win, but there are a lot of guys that might have gone to the bullpen in this situation, as strong as that bullpen for St. Louis is.
Lean on Spivey, 1-1. You know, in talking with the defense, Scott Rowlands is playing defense for Finley. They said, you know, we can't. Chuck will change by what he has more than most pitchers. This time I got these pitches working. He'll go with that. He says it's a.
He better change something up here, because Junior Spivey is getting a real good look at it.
And Rowland playing pretty close to the line. Sees that one go foul past him.
We talked about it before this series began, Boomer, you and I, the defense of St. Louis. Talk about Morris, talk about their offense. All of that should be said, but it's amazing that they're as good defensively, along with all of the things on the offensive side of the game they can do.
They may win 5 Gold Gloves, this team of the Cardinals. And there's Rowland's position. You can see. In again to Spivey.
He's just being too fine with that fastball in. That's what sets everything up for his split finger. Tony La Russa telling you and I that was really the only change that Dave Duncan made in Chuck Finley. You got to throw that fastball in more and have the confidence to throw it for a strike to set up your split finger fastball. You got to get that hitter's bat started sooner.
Breaking ball, perfectly positioned is Rowland, and they go to Vina. The crowd thought that the speedy Womack had beaten it out, but not to be. And so defense by St. Louis, airtight. We've played 5. It's 1-0. One nothing, the scantest of margins, the lead for the St. Louis Cardinals. As Jimmy Edmonds steps in against Curt Schilling, and Edmonds, the Diamondbacks know full well, homered in both games last year in St. Louis, off Batista in Game 3, off What's It All About Albi Lopez in Game number 4, and then a home run that just may, in the first inning of this series, have changed the tide for good. We'll see. 2-run shot off Randy Johnson on Tuesday night. Edmonds, Pujols, Roland. 3-4-5. Stepping to the plate against Curt Schilling. And here's something that you alluded to before, Sut. Those aren't just names that he's on top of. Those are the largest of names.
You know what? I look at all of that. Think about what else he does defensively.
He's one of those 5 guys that could win Gold Glove. Vina, Renteria, Roland, Matheny, and Jim Edmonds in center. Not to slight Tino at first. I mean, you go around. There's not. It's pretty airtight.
I think the whole key to the club this year has been Renteria. And that, before it's all said and done, might be the difference between them just getting to the postseason and maybe even winning it all. He's just become a big-time special player. We've heard his name before. He's done some things, but he's going to do a lot more.
Pitch on Edmonds as it's 1-2.
I just love the approach, though, that the Cardinals have taken in the first 2 games of this series. You mentioned to begin with, Boomer, they're going to swing at that first pitch if they like it. They're going up there and just taking 3 big hacks. And if you run into something, well, good for you.
Situations, that's good for a lead. Not thus far this afternoon for Curt Schilling, the starter in the All-Star game this year, among his many accolades as he piled up the last 2 years. Ripped, but right at Colburn, and Edmonds saw it well, but he's retired for the 3rd time this afternoon, 1 out.
Well, the line looked a lot like that 5 innings, only 4 hits, 1 run allowed. Take a look at this bullet hit by Jim Edmonds, but nothing to show for it.
Down to the knee. Took a knee.
That line, you know what that line looked like to me? The line for Schilling here this afternoon? The same line in Game 1 last year for Matt Morris.
Yep.
There was a loss tagged along with that.
So here is Albert Pujols out there. And of course, what Pujols has done, the first guy ever to begin his career, 30 homers, 100 ribbies, 300 batting average, first 2 years, first guy ever.
You know, and Walt Jocketty telling us yesterday that he's really a big part of the reason they could go out and get Scott Rowland. He's not even arbitration eligible yet. That for Albert Pujols. You know that once he gets to that point, his salary is going to go way up. But right now, just 2 years in the league, the Cardinals can pretty much dictate what he makes. And because of that, they had some financial freedom to bring in a terrific player like Rowland.
So you think that bringing in Finley and Roland might have helped them out a little bit, Sut? I'm being facetious.
No question.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about 2 moves. You know, just seeing Walt, I just want to get this in before we forget. He asked me for a favor. His son Joey is 12 today. So watching the game at home. Happy birthday, Joey. Try to do that.
You know who else deserves some credit for this Cardinal team? And Walt was the first one to tell us. Mark McGwire still.
Colburn in. Makes the catch. Pujols gone here in the 6th.
What Walt Jocketty meant by Mark McGwire, and nobody knows Big Mac better than Tony La Russa does. Big Mac walked away from a lot of money, Boomer. Not many people would have done that. But by him leaving that money with the Cardinals, they were able to sign Tino Martinez to replace him at first, and also Jason Isringhausen, a problem that they have had with the closer in that position. And that's all because of Big Mac wanting to do even more for St. Louis.
Get themselves a heck of a chance here as Rolen on board all 3 times. 2 singles to go with a hit by pitch, not to mention the homer hit in game number 1. So Scott continuing to rock and rollin' with a base hit with 2 outs.
Just look at the approach that he's got. Look at the intensity in those eyes. Wasn't a great pitch. A little get over breaking ball from Schilling. But Scott Rolen not trying to do too much with it.
So Mr. Baseball from Jasper, Indiana.
You know what? He not only plays well, Boomer, but more equally important, he plays 155 games this year for Scott Rolen.
Old-time guy. Tino Martinez trying to get something going, hits this to the deep part of the park. Steve Finley, center fielders have been busy, and Finns is there to make it. Rolen stranded at first. Can Arizona get Schilling a run to work with? Coming back to the bottom of the 6th. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here. A pitching gem by Chuck Finley over Curt Schilling thus far, 1-0 in the bottom of the 6th. And here on ABC Family, we get ready for the 13 nights of Halloween. Beginning October 19th. 13 nights of creepy movies, scary places of Earth Dares, and the extreme illusions of Chris Angel's Mind Freak. 13 nights of Halloween begin October 19th on ABC Family. Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney with you here for the bottom of the 6th inning.
You got your costume picked out, partner, for Halloween?
Yeah, Tommy Bahama. I same costume as every other day when I'm not on the air trying to look good for you.
That casual, relaxed look.
Absolutely. Aloha.
You wanted a pitcher's duel, partner. You wondered where they were during this postseason. You're looking at a good one.
We ask, they deliver. 6 games without a pitcher's duel to start the playoffs around the 4 series. We got one right here.
Well, and right here is a huge at bat for the Diamondbacks. Greg Colburn's in the lineup for one reason today. That's to hit.
He's walked and struck out. 6 strikeouts for Chuck Finley, who, by the way, this year moved up 10 spots on the all-time strikeout list. He's got 2,610 for his career. He is now 19th. He passed Christy Mathewson, Don Drysdale, Jack Morris, Mark Langston, Jim Cott, Sudden Sam McDowell, Jerry Koosman, old-timer Tim Keefe, Rapid Robert Feller, and Warren Spahn. Now, you know, that's a pretty good list right there. He's now 5th all-time for lefties, having passed Swanee. So you wouldn't think of him as Mr. Strikeout, but he's done that. Here's a long run for Edmonds back there, but he has the room to retire Greg Colburn. Gives us a chance to say in a normal voice that this copyrighted telecast, presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. What did you decide? What's the most memorable moment of Major League Baseball history? Watch Game 4 of the World Series to find out. Don't miss it. I'm anxious to see that, too.
My good buddy Cal was leading for a long time. I think I remember reading.
Certainly is a candidate. Here's Matt Williams. Well, it seems like another life. You know, Will Clark got the pub in that '89 series with that at bat against Mitch Williams. On your Cubs, Matty had a pretty important at bat in one of those games out of Candlestick, didn't he? It's another life.
Well, you know, all the postseason series. Why you got to go there?
So you might remember it.
I'm sitting here ringless, you know. It was hard to like Matt Williams for a long time, but Mark Grace and I eventually got over it.
That's another life for Matt. Came up a shortstop.
He could always sting one, though.
It was a hum baby for Roger Craig. Everyone sitting in our studio today, Jeff Brantley remembers it. Teammates.
Look at how Finley's setting these at bats up, though. With that fastball in, even when he's not throwing it for a strike, it's having a big effect as far as the hitter's approaches. It comes back after that pitch with something off speed and down, and that's where most of the strikeouts have come from. That's, you know, that's Dave Duncan once again. taking a veteran pitcher who a lot of people thought were done and getting more out of him. Storm Davis, Scott Sanderson, Bob Welch. The list goes on and on. I mean, you start with Darryl Kyle. People say, okay, well, it was Colorado, you know, he got out of there. Well, yeah, that's what we're getting out, but he became a 20-game winner under Dave Duncan. How about Woody Williams last year? Under 500, yet maybe the best pitcher down the stretch for anybody. Woody was the winner in Game 2 here last year of this series.
2-2 pitch. Williams is struck out, so there are 2 outs here in the 6th.
Boomer all set up by that fastball in. That was the only adjustment Duncan made with Finley. You got to show the fastball in so that when you do throw the splitter, they have sped up the bat, they start their swing, and they can't hold up. Remember Bob Brenly telling us before the game how even on the check swing, Matt Williams was doing a better job of it. The reason for that, he was picking the baseball up out of the pitcher's hand. Well, they're just not able to see that with Chuck Finley today.
So 2 down, the base is clear, and Steve Finley. Finley versus Finley. I look out there and I look at the pitcher and the center fielder. Talk about other lives. Chuck Finley, Jim Edmonds, together with the Angels, the California Angels. Steve Finley, Curt Schilling, together as nobody remembers, Baltimore Orioles and Houston Astros. And then here we are in 2002, pitcher, center fielder. Again, a little looper that Vina can't quite come up with. Boy, he gave it his all, but Finley aboard with just the 4th safety for Arizona.
Well, what a tremendous effort on the part of Fernando Vina. This is that spark that he gives every club he's ever played for. That's not his fault. That's his mom and dad's fault. If he's another inch taller, he makes that play. Don't blame him for that.
Man.
Look at the desire. Look at the passion there. Well, you might blame his mom and dad for not being tall enough, but give him credit for raising a guy with that type of work ethic.
And enthusiasm as Vina playing hurt. You mentioned it. The play that he made on, or tried to make on Tuesday night, but hey.
It's really affected his swing today, hadn't it? He's only 2 for 3.
Yeah, he's the bee sting for him. And of course, he, as Quentin McCracken steps up, Vina, Pac-10 batting champ at Arizona State in 1990. Quentin McCracken had 2 hits in Game 1. Looking to get something going somewhere.
I think it's going to be in the Cardinal bullpen is what's going to get going somewhere. It's about that time. Finley spot due up in the top of the 7th. Tony La Russa hoping he can get there. He needs 1 more out here in the bottom of the 6th.
Pitches for Finley, so that's not an issue.
I think it is. Yeah, I really do. I mean, Chuck is tremendously well conditioned. Fans not happy with that borderline high strike. Called for strike 1 on Bill Miller. You know, as a hitter, though, Quentin McCracken's taking a long time right now. You don't want to do that. You're just going to make the umpire even madder. That's strike 1. You still got 2 big ones left. If he calls that pitch for strike 3, sure, give him his money's worth. It's like another fastball in. No, deciding to step off. I would be real careful. He's had a lot of success with that fastball in thus far this afternoon, but I don't know that this is a situation for that. Not a whole lot of power for McCracken. Really, the only way he can hurt you with an extra base hit is something on the inner half of the plate. I'd stay down and away, try to get you a ground ball to Fernando.
Misses 2-1.
Look at that velocity. We've seen it at 90, 91 today. Now it's 88. We're at 96 pitches. If you could check his heart rate right now, that being Tony La Russa, it's a little bit higher than it's been all day.
The numbers as Finley 2-1 to McCracken. Now 2-2. So Chuck Finley, who his last next. There's the St. Louis Pen now up and rattling around, as you suggested. No, they're not up. They're watching. So
yeah, but you see the coats off.
Yeah.
You see that. You see Facero's jackets off. Jason Simontachi, I don't think he's real worried. It's past his call.
Yeah, it's past. Yeah, right.
They're gonna, as he told us yesterday, they're gonna keep him back just in case Andy Bennis has some more back problems. Who's scheduled to start Game 3.
Broken bat and ball towards short. Renteria over to Tino Martinez. Chuck Finley has made 469 previous starts. He doesn't have a postseason win. Does he get one in number 470? 1-0 Card. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here in Arizona. Very quiet Bank One ballpark. 9 outs separate the Cardinals from a 2-0 lead over the home fans defending world champion Arizona Diamondbacks. It's just a 1-0 Cardinal lead as we hit the 7th with 7-8-9 batting for St. Louis. Renteria, Matheny, Finley perhaps. And Curt Schilling behind 2-0. Uncharacteristic of him. Schilling has allowed 1 run and just 5 hits. But the problem is that Chuck Finley has allowed no runs on 4 hits. Womack spins, fires, gets Renteria. So there's 1 out, and there's Finley with the jacket on. He has pitched as well. A moment for him. Let's remind everyone that his 2 postseason starts last year with Cleveland didn't even get out of the 5th inning. This is a totally different storyline today.
Well, and the main reason is because of the lack of base on balls. What a terrific outing. You saw the line there for Chuck Finley. I've got a feeling it's going to end up being that exact same way.
The off-used Steve Klein, lefty up and firing. As Mike Matheny plunks in a base hit to left field in front of Mark Little. And so now, look at this now. It's a bunt. So take off the jacket, big guy, and you're going to bunt, then pitch.
Well, you have to do it that way because when you look at the bench of Tony La Russa, and we talked about it in Game 1, Boomer, because of the deadline on August 31st and the split double hitter they played in Chicago, he had to have more pitchers. Well, he's got a lot of pitchers right now. He only has 5 extra guys on that bench. He only has 1 left-handed pinch hitter that you'd probably throw up against a right-handed throwing Curt Schilling. So what do? Save that position player in a close game like this. Tell Finley, go up there, get the bunt down. I still haven't decided whether you're going to pitch the bottom of the 7th or not.
Finley bunts it to first. And the look by Colbert, and he makes the play. So Matheny running. Colburn wasn't quite sure. He didn't go immediately, but boy, he put a lot of mustard on the throw. And so now Finley's on the base path, which is not what they wanted.
Boomer, there's another thing that would have happened. If you had the depth in the bench that Bob Brenly has, you pinch run for your slow running catcher. That was a decent enough bunt to get the job done. But Matheny, he doesn't run well. He's a catcher. You're not supposed to. He gets there as quick as he can. He tries to keep the double play from being turned. But if you had a deeper bench, you would put speed out there. That would have been a sacrifice bunt. Finley would have gotten his job done.
Finley on first, and Fernando Vina looks at strike 1. Vina 2 for 3. 3 hits in game 1. He has been fruit of the Vina. Yeah, he tries to bunt.
He's yelling at it, hit him.
Problem is, everyone's yelling at it hit him because he was nowhere near the batter's box when it hit. I mean,
well, he was almost in fair territory, is what it looked like to me, and that's what Bill Miller's explaining to him. It also looked to me like he tried to bunt at that pitch.
He did.
Tony can do right now is state his case and try to get the home plate umpire, Bill Miller, to get some help. All right, just ask somebody. Maybe you didn't see it correctly. Try to get somebody else's opinion. That's the only way you're going to get it changed.
Miller, young umpire. Involved in that play at first base yesterday. Spivey was rolled out. Might have beaten out that great throw.
See, they just asked third base umpire Steve Ripley if he thought he attempted to bunt at it, and Ripley said he did, so the count will be 0-2 now.
Vina getting a little heated, and they don't need this. I mean, forget everything else. They do not need this.
Well, that's what you get with Fernando Vina. That's that fire that he has always had as a player. He knows how important it is for him to get on. He knows that J.D. Drew is the only offense that's been here this afternoon. He's on the on-deck circle.
Well, Fernando, he was close. Miller had a longer fuse there. I mean, I don't know what was said. The tobacco came flying.
Look at him coming out there. See, he's out of the box. He was actually even on home plate as he attempted to bunt. Watch his bat here. What's he trying to do? He's trying to push it at it. That is definitely an attempted bunt at that ball, regardless of whether it hit him or not.
So it goes as strike two, correctly so. And now Vina swinging, and he says, okay, I'll take matters into my own hands. Past the diving Coburn. And check this out. The big fellow all the way to third base. So that was the ploy. How get Vina so fired up that he's just going to hit a dart.
How about Chuck Finley going first to third?
That's
here?
What I say. I mean, we don't even know if he's going to hit. Now he doesn't get the sacrifice, but Chuck just motoring.
And you know, in the back of Bob Brinley's mind, he's going, Mark Grace would have made that play. Had I gone with my best defensive infield, he didn't. There's Finley coming all the way around. Now, we mentioned he has not hit before. He's been in the American League. He's not run the bases. With all of the pitches he's thrown today and going from first to third, I would be real concerned about letting him start the bottom of the seventh inning if this score remains the same. That's a good move by Curt Schilling now. His shoe wasn't untied. That's an old Don Drysdale trick he taught me. When things aren't going right and you need to stop a rally, you need to get back on track, step off and untie your shoe and retie it. Clear your mind a little bit.
Here's J.D. Drew, whose homer is the reason the Cardinals lead at 1-0. Homered in the third. Finley the runner at third. Vina the runner at first. 2 out, top 7.
Do you feel that pain in the rear that McGuire was talking about with Fernando Vina?
Absolutely.
Curt Schilling feels it right now.
6 for 10 pain in the rear. The Diamondbacks. 2-0 to J.D. Drew with Jim Edmonds on deck.
Activity in Arizona's bullpen. Mike Myers, Young Kim up and throwing. Kind of surprising, just 89 pitches from Curt Schilling.
Doubt we see any call, though.
Oh, no, not until something happens, if something were to happen. I'll tell you what's happening here. J.D. Drew's getting pitched around to get to Jim Edmonds.
Well, that's what it was. So Drew walks, bases loaded. Jim Edmonds homered in the first game, 0 for 3 against Schilling this afternoon, and he has a chance to change the complexion, as he may have done in his first at-bat in the series Tuesday, to change the complexion of this game and ultimately the series right here.
I like this move on the part of Chuck Niffen, the pitching coach. Come on out, give Curt all the time he possibly needs. Boomer, it won't end the series with a victory here today by St. Louis, but you know what? It almost will.
Absolutely. 55-15 when these two guys start games.
Tony La Russa would have taken Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson out of the picture because they will not be involved in Game 3. He could win it without seeing him again if he could win this ball game today. You see, Tony La Russa was there talking with Dave Duncan about what to do with Chuck Finley. All right, you know, we sent him up there to bunt, but I really don't want him to pitch the bottom of the 7th inning. I've got a lot of confidence in my bullpen. I got a great start out of him today. I would turn it over to those guys that have been able to handle that the rest of the year.
Well, the decision might be made a lot easier whichever way he wants to go, depending on what Edmonds does right here.
Absolutely.
Hang a 2 or 3 spot with an extra base hit and go ahead, let him throw.
And another thing he's thinking, he could send Finley out there to warm up and still not have him pitch to a hitter.
Schilling's got a pitch to Edmonds right here with the crowd in with bases loaded. Up top for a ball.
That's how I got him the last time. High fastball, inner half of the plate. Edmonds popped it up to left field. Now, the last time he threw him an off-speed pitch. Remember the line drive that knocked Colburn to his knees? I'd look for those fastballs up probably on the outer half of the plate.
Swinging for that one with 1-1.
And Edmonds has got to be a little bit mad at himself there. That was the exact same pitch he saw on the first pitch. Is that a ball? Yes. See the glove go up. That would have been ball 2, and it would have been a huge advantage for Edmonds. Now with the count even, the crowd getting more and more into it, I think you're going to see more and more velocity.
Ball 2 outside.
98 miles an hour. Oh, did Curt want that one?
Finley, Vina, Drew, the base runner, crowd, sellout, 48 plus, on their feet. Schilling looking in at Edmonds. Strike 2.
I'll tell you what, Boomer, 98, 97 on the last pitch. That's a big number any time of the year. But to be able to do that after 300 strikeouts, all of the innings in the month of October, that's a huge number in this month.
We'll let the crowd tell you what happens. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. We'll do it again. 316 regular season strikeouts. 6 today. Well, would number 323 be huge?
But a lot of those strikeouts came early in the ball game. 3 in the first inning. Hasn't been a strikeout in a while without the exception of the pitcher.
But he gets one right here. Curt Schilling is stranded the bases. We head to the 7th inning stretch, and he's suddenly live Arizona. The Cardinals won. The Diamondbacks nothing. We're back in the bottom of the 7th. A little excitement with the strikeout of Jim Edmonds as the Diamondbacks just trying to make a move here and get this thing going.
What a huge strikeout it was, Boomer. Let's take a look at how it was set up. Fastball away. Fastball away. Edmonds expanded the zone. That put him in the hole. Just missed there. Take a look at it. Now watch what happens here. Look at Damian Miller moved in. That got the bat of Jim Edmonds to speed up. He had to start a little bit sooner to get to that pitch by not getting the pitch he was looking for way out in front. And now you have this crowd completely in this ball game. Let's see if the offense can do something.
It's been a gem, and make no bones about it. The 7th postseason game, and we finally have ourselves a pitcher's duel. 6 innings pitched thus far by Chuck Finley, just giving up the 4 hits and struck out 7. Out-dueling to this point, Curt Schilling in our Reese's pitching summary. The 1-run, the home run in the 3rd by J.D. Drew.
Take a look at part of the reason for the success for Chuck Finley here today. Those strikeouts, Boomer, you were talking about. Most of them are going to be on that pitch right there. The split finger fastball down in the zone. Paints the outside corner occasionally. There's another splitter. But all of these strikeouts were set up with a fastball at some point in that count on the inner half of the plate. He's just been tremendous today. I just wonder how much longer Tony La Russa is going to go with it.
He's going with him right here as Finley has pitched, well, certainly no more important game in his baseball career that goes back to the mid-80s with the California Angels. Finley and Schilling talking about what? How long ago?
Well, we're talking about the fact that Curt's due up third here at the bottom of the seventh, and Bob Brenly is running out of outs.
Finley, a rookie with the 1986 California Angels that were bested in that memorable 7-game postseason ALCS by the Boston Red Sox. Pitched in 3 games in that ALCS and waited 15 years to start twice for Cleveland last year. Didn't last the 5th. But boy, as he waited for this moment as he works to Damian Miller, the 7-hitter, to lead off the 7th.
I'm kind of surprised Klein wasn't in here to face Damian Miller. He's been on a couple of times. He hit a triple that he turned into a double first at bat, walked the last at bat, which was the only leadoff hitter today for Arizona to reach base.
Well, the opposing bullpen, Byung-Young Kim, might see his first postseason action. Well, he certainly got that huge ovation, boy, when they came back here. Remember that last year?
Oh, and you've got 2 right-handed hitters due up in the top of the 8th for St. Louis, that being Pujols and Roland. You go to your right-handed reliever.
Two and 2 to Miller. Double, walked.
Proud of that fastball, isn't he? We have seen a lot of them here today by Chuck. Just 88 miles an hour. That you get a little bit concerned there, though. I mean, there's not a lot of power in the lineup for Arizona, but you start to lose a little velocity, they can get you. You know, Miller seems to be the only one really that picks up the rotation on that splitter. Maybe the fact that he catches one with Curt Schilling throwing helps him pick it up out of the hand of the opposing pitcher. Everybody else has chased that pitch in the dirt, with the exception of Damian.
Hit hard, but short hop by Vina over to Tino Martinez. There's 1 out in the Arizona 7th. Schilling, at least for now, in the on-deck circle.
You know, and too, but there aren't a lot of options for Bob Brenly on that bench like he had last year. Because of all of the injuries, I mean, the only right-handed pinch hitters he has are 2 other catchers, Rod Barajas and also Chad Moeller.
Now, Barry Weinberg, trainer, manager Tony La Russa, and home plate umpire Bill Miller on the mound.
You know what it is? It's a blister. And it's the same blister that came up for Chuck Finley in his last start after 6 innings. You get a lot of friction with that baseball coming out of your hand when you spread your fingers to throw the pitch that he's had so much success with.
It's like a wrist there, though. What could that be?
Well, from throwing that splitter.
I understand. Just on that last pitch.
This is what we're talking about here, Boomer. We'll take a look at the splitter. This was the last pitch that he threw, kind of grimacing a little bit. See the rotation and tumbling there? All right, that's what happened. I mean, just if you think about it, you take your fingers and you get them as far as you can around the baseball. Take a look at it right there. I mean, that's not even comfortable to look at. And he even gets more than that. He's thrown almost 100 of them. That's going to be it.
Well, the pitches that he's thrown have been marvelous, but it looks like that will be it for Finley, who stands to win his first postseason game. Steve Klein coming on. faces of those front and center. Yeah, baby. And if you're a Cardinal fan, you're toasting a little bit thus far, but a 1-0 game now with one out on the bottom of the 7th. Steve Klein, the lefty, has come on to face Mark Little and giving it a look, but out of play. Tino Martinez watches it go into the seats. Now, a well-rested Steve Klein. Why? Well, he only pitched 66 games this year. The year before he pitched 89. The year before he pitched 83. The year before he pitched 82. All those years leading the National League in appearances. So Klein, a little bit of time on the DL, but as live an October arm as he's had. And here is the trainer, Barry Weinberg, with Chuck Finley. Blood from the slide at third, working on the hand, and what a job he did. I mean, for him to step up as number 2 starter and have a lead over Curt Schilling in an absolute must-win for the Diamondbacks. For Finley to come up this large, wow. And playing in that sun, that little glint of sun is rolling. He fires it across, getting Mark Little.
I guarantee you, he threw that ball harder to first base than Steve Klein threw it to home plate. In between hop, look at the sun. Everything that could possibly go against you is. See the ball there with the in-between hop? Nothing you can do except turn into a catcher. Sacrifice your body. Look at where the baseball lands. Go get it, and then flat air it out. Nobody can do it better than Scott Rowland.
Look at that sun he's got to stand. It's bizarre. Schilling will sit, and that'll be it for Curt Schilling, who, unless the pinch hitter Chad Moeller can get something going, Schilling can stand only to lose, not to win, unless Arizona gets some 2-out magic right here.
And look, just a couple of seconds ago, Boomer, look at him trying to stretch. You know, I don't know so much if I think it's a cramp. I think with all the split fingers he threw, I think his hand just started cramping up on him. You look at the knee there. That was from, as you said, Boomer, the slide into third base. Let's not forget, I mean, he had to change shirts, too. His little good luck white shirt was taken away from him before the bottom of the 2nd.
Moeller does his job. One of those 3 catchers we spoke about for Bob Brenly. First pitch hitting off Klein into center field.
Tough decision for Bob Brenly to make. You're down to 7 outs and you need a run. You have to do something offensively. You know that if you can get somebody on. Last year, Tony Womack had one of the biggest hits of the season for Arizona against this pitcher, Steve Klein. That was a game-winning hit in Game 5.
Just the 5th hit for the Diamondbacks this afternoon. And here comes Mr. Womack. Rolling just at the edge of the grass at third, in case Womack tries to tiptoe one down the line. You see him in, and a good thing for him is he's out of the sun. Fella down in the pen is Rick White, another one of the less heralded mid to late season moves by Walt Jocketty and his staff.
Yeah, but when you see him up late in the game with a lead, that tells you how well he's pitched, how much confidence his manager has in him.
It's a pitch on the outside corner, 2-1 to Womack.
See, I like that about Tony there. Borderline pitch. The fans didn't like it. You know what? It's just strike one. So be it. You know, there's still a lot left in this at bat. Don't give the umpire anything to be mad about. See? And you get a borderline call. If you would have upset him, I mean, he might have raised that right arm again. He didn't. He got back in the box. Now he's going to get a pretty good pitch to hit. Only 5 homers on the year for Womack. Most of them will come with a count like this where he knows what's coming. He might cheat a little bit, try to pull this ball.
He didn't need to cheat. The pinch hit for Schilling has now produced runners at second and first. Moeller with catcher speed, a little bit better than the average catcher speed, but so now we're not going to worry about that because pinch runner in for Moeller with he now representing the tying run. It's going to be Alex Absolute Cintron going in to run at second base. Dave Duncan will go out and talk. Junior Spivey is to the plate. The righty White's going to come in. The wheels are turning here in the bottom of the seventh. Rick White, the big right-hander, began the year in Colorado, and boy, did he make an impact here in St. Louis. 20 outings for Tony La Russa, 22 innings, allowed only 2 earned runs, and it was almost automatic down the stretch. Sut?
Well, you know, another guy it reminds me of got out of Colorado and had a lot of success for these Cardinals. That was Darryl Kyle. The same thing has happened to Rick. He's gotten over here, and the difference has been his fastball in. He can locate that fastball with anybody in baseball right now. He's got an outstanding slider to complement that.
However, interesting that he faces Junior Spivey with 2 on now, and Spivey 3 for 5 off of him lifetime. I don't know those numbers that much, but 3 for 5 is an eye-opener. Well, to quote Jackson Brown, when you see the lights and you hear the crowd, you remember why you came. 1-0, bottom of the seventh. Inside is Spivey, ball 1. The pinch runner, Alex Cintron at second. Tony Womack at first. Both can move, certainly will be with 2 outs with anything going from Spivey against White.
Number 3 for 5. I mean, that could be anything, but one of those 3 was a home run. There's that fastball in. You know, again, that's what Dave Duncan got Chuck Finley to do. Have confidence to throw that pitch in there. I mean, history's made on the inside part of the play. You make a mistake in there, those balls go the further. That wasn't a mistake. That was a great pitch, as we saw a lot of them from Chuck today.
On the count. Inside 2-1. Greg Colburn on deck if Spivey should get a pass.
Oh, what an improved ball player Junior Spivey has become. Just not making the same mistake normally in the same at bats. He could always hit the slider, but he didn't always recognize that slider that wasn't a strike. He's gotten better and better at that. You just saw it on that last pitch, laying off that.
Well, everything changed, Rick, after Bob Brenly pinch hit for Curt Schilling. Everything changed.
Tough call, but obviously the right one.
Now you have it. The best part of postseason, late inning baseball.
Watch the movement on this fastball, though, Boomer. Look at it run down and in underneath the swing of Junior Spivey. That's the first look Junior's had in this at-bat at that particular fastball. The others have been the four-seamer, which stayed straight.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Everyone will be moving here in this 1-run game. Slow roller, rolling, and he's going to be interfered with. Maybe hurt. Rolling down, Cintron called out for interference on the right call on a play that might have been awfully tough, as good as Roland is, and now the concern for the third baseman. But what a way to take yourself out of a rally. You gotta be kidding me.
My goodness.
You gotta be kidding me.
This is a pinch runner. He's supposed to be good at what he does here. You couldn't have done it any worse. That's a difficult play. You've got to stop and see if Roland can come up with that ball. You had speed going down the first base line, a chance for a bad throw to get away and a tying run to score, and the Diamondbacks just run themselves out of the inning.
So pinch runner Alex Cintron literally runs themselves out of an inning. We played 7, 1-0 Cards. Wow. Back at Stunned Bank One Ballpark in Phoenix, as the Diamondbacks had something going, but because of runners' interference, the rally quelled. Their star pitcher Schilling out. Cintron getting some words to the wise of Robin Yount, and he's been hearing an earful. That was bonehead. I don't know any other way to describe it.
I'm just explaining. All you had to do was angle out and go around the fielder.
The new pitcher is Mike Koplov, and I got a question. Does Koplov have a dog? Because you remember Koplov's dog, don't you?
No, I don't.
No, that was Pavlov. Never mind. Spivey makes the play over to Colburn. And Pujols gone.
Boomer, let's take a look at that play one more time. Obviously the play of the game. Look at here. Scott Rowland's nowhere in sight on that ground ball. You're not going to get Tony Womack at second base. You're probably, look where Junior Spivey. All right, look at that. Look at the collision. He's hustling down the line. Look at him fly down there. I don't think Rowland would have even had a chance to make a play at first base. We know that Rowland got hit in his wrist earlier in the game. That had to hurt. And now all of a sudden it's either his hand or maybe his shoulder. I mean, that was quite a collision there. I think Rowland was probably the most surprised that somebody ran into him because he knew he had a tough play in front of him.
Well, he's gone in the clubhouse, and Eli Marrero is batting for him right here. So they've lost Rowland as a result of the collision.
There it is there. I mean, all of a sudden he realized he's made a mistake. Look at that shoulder. Oh, no. I hope I'm wrong, but if that's the shoulder, we're reminded of what happened with Luis Gonzalez.
Thought of that a minute ago. I just hope not. You don't know. I mean, we're going in and we get a report. We will. It's he's obviously just gone down the scoreboard.
You know, I mean, that's why so many people watch baseball games in October, because you're going to see the best players. You want to see Luis Gonzalez and Scott Rowland play in these games.
Finley, you were right, muscle cramp in his left hand. That was why he left.
I knew he came out of the last start because of a blister. That was my first thought. But then when you saw him there with the trainer trying to stretch that hand out, there was some dehydration involved right there. I mean, maximum effort on every single pitch, as just about every start with Curt Schilling is going to be. Ask Matt Morris. He hooked up twice last year, and both terrific pitching duels.
Randy Johnson hoping he can pitch in game number 4, but there is one. And here's Koplov making the play himself, pouncing off the mound to get the pinch hitter Marrero to pop up and foul ground. 2 out.
You don't see pitchers catch pop-ups very often, but
bizarre.
Because of the fact there was 2 strikes, Matt Williams, as we know, will play a lot deeper than most people. He was going to be questionable whether he could get there. Damian Miller didn't know for sure, and you know, even though pitchers are called non-athletes, sometimes we can catch those things. Not always. That might be a web gem tonight.
Those good wheels by Koplov. Here's Tino Martinez. Finished strong. About 300 his last 50 games. Didn't much in these 2 games, except that you know that he's pretty much of a vacuum cleaner over there at first.
Boomer, here's where he gets you though. Spots like this. You know, he just adds that run that you need. You know, when he hits his homers, they normally are the difference in a ball game because they're either grand slams or 3-run homers.
Two and one.
Again, a pitcher he's not seen before. You know, you got to take a few pitches to just see, kind of size him up. Only 1 at bat for Tino against Mike Koplov. You all of a sudden know you're going to see 5 pitches, and you got a better idea of what you're dealing with. That was the whole first half for him this year. Just seeing as many pitches as he possibly could.
Hold the chain to Koplov there. Sometimes it's an advantage when you change leagues. If you're a pitcher, maybe that's what Finley is certainly seeing, but Tino took him a while. Even backgrounds, right? In backdrops, the way you stand at the plate in different ballparks, you've never seen him. Waved at that one as well. So 1-2-3 inning for the reliever Koplov in the heart of the Diamondback order, coming up in the bottom of the 8th. 1-0 St. Louis. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe with you here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The champion Diamondbacks facing a 2-0 deficit, facing their aces, perhaps losing these 2 games. They got 6 out with something to do about it. Don't miss the extreme illusions of Chris Angel. Is that me? In an all-new original special, Mind Freak. That is me, premiering Sunday, October 20th, part of the 13 Nights of Halloween on ABC Family.
Honestly, I'd never heard of it, but you've got me interested now. I'm going to watch.
Well, Eli Marrero has stayed in the game, Rick, and he will play left field, which means Albert Pujols goes to third base. As soon as there is information on Scott Rowland and his shoulder, we will tell you. We can tell you that Rick White is pitching to Greg Colburn to begin the bottom of inning number 8, and he starts him with a strike.
You know, Boomer, there's big numbers in baseball, and sometimes, stats don't tell the whole story. But one stat for Rick White this year was 29 of 35 inherited runners did not score. That trend continued with the base running blunder by Arizona.
Cutting across is Pujols, and already you could see a change. I mean, that's a play that a third baseman, a good one, will try to make. Although Renteria certainly was right there in position, and already advantage Arizona here with this move.
Well, he does everything right. I mean, he takes the right angle. He just forgets to secure the baseball. And I agree with you. I mean, you're coming into a new position right now. You've not been there in a while. I might have let Edgar Renteria handle that ball as well. You like the aggressiveness on the part of Pujols, but you question the decision somewhat.
Not that he wanted any part of this at all. But Cintron ran them out of a rally the last time up, but now maybe the change at third has opened up a possibility for the rally with Matt Williams.
Matty 3 for 9 against Rick White, but one of those 3 left the yard. You leave the yard now, this crowd, they're going to leave their seats.
Behind first, Vigna now coming over. Tino's lost it. Looked like he did. Then he looked up and grabbed it. And there's one out. So Matty 0 for 4.
Vigna wanted to call him off. Yeah, right there he's saying, I got it. Yeah. Get out of the way. I've got it. I mean, kind of a weird little angle. I mean, he really didn't get behind the ball, turn around and square it, but obviously felt comfortable and had it all the way.
How about Vigna, just in case of the Pete Rose bobble from Boone? I'm ready for you to get the carom just in case. Now Dave Duncan out on the mound, the pitching coach. Talk about White working with Finley. Dave Veers, the righty, the veteran lefty. Another one of those late season pickups for the Cardinals, Jeff Facero. There's Tony, who has won 1,924 postseason regular season games. 8th all time. Next year, 2,000 wins he'll get. He wants one this afternoon. He's not thinking any farther than that.
When so many decisions, Boomer, for a manager to make. You got a left-handed hitter, you got a left-handed reliever ready to go, but you don't make the move.
I have to say that he's been here before. It's the 9th time he's taken a club to the postseason. 4 Cards, 4 A's. No one remembers 1 White Sox.
Well, and you know, too, you think about White here. All right, that is a go-ahead run at home plate, but what has Rick White done wrong yet? I mean, we got 2 ground balls to third. We got a little pop-up to first. He's been terrific.
Pitch misses away to Finley, 1-1. He singled his last time up, has struck out.
And moving
to second.
When you think about homers, Steve Finley's at 227 during the regular season. But you know what? He has only one home run and now 125 postseason at bats.
You're saying he's due?
Over.
One off the facade just below us. Count is 1-2.
You know, and one thing that happened, I've seen Steve Finley for a long time. I pitched against him. I saw him with the puck. Watch his back leg. Look at how low it got and how it collapsed. That's what happens when he struggled. He drops that back leg and tries to lift the baseball, hence a lot of times missing good pitches to hit, as was that last one.
Finley takes it inside. 2-2.
You know, with runners in scoring position during the season, any at bat in the postseason, you know, you just sometimes you grip the bat a little bit harder. You grip the baseball a little bit tighter. The guys that can relax are the guys that perform best in these situations. It really helps Steve Finley in the fact that he's been there before. Struggled in 1998 in the World Series against the Yankees. Struggled that whole postseason. He didn't struggle last year. Overall hitting .365 for Arizona last year.
19 for 52 in the postseason last year.
That was last year. What have you done for me lately?
Base hit, the answer would be quite a bit. He skies this one as well. This time Renteria does take charge on the left side of the infield. There are 2 outs. We should tell you Scott Rowland, it is a left shoulder injury that they're looking at now. There is an X-ray facility here in Bank One ballpark. They'll take a look. So in other words, if we haven't advanced it much, they're X-raying it as we speak on the left shoulder.
Watch the back knee. Look how low the knee gets. And what happens? When you drop that back knee, that means that your eyesight has dropped. So where the baseball once was when you originally spotted it, it's not there anymore because you've taken your eyesight down about 2 inches. That 2 inches is what he's missing those baseballs by.
So now it falls to Quentin McCracken. The Q 0 for 3 thus far today. 2 hits in game 1.
Isn't this something? I mean, Quentin McCracken was signed to a minor league contract back in January. Who would have thought?
Slicing toward the seats down the left field line, and it'll get there. Guerrero giving it a look. Now the left fielder, as we told you.
I mean, I think, and this is not a knock on Quentin because he's had a great year. But this is the world championship team right here. They're the world champions. Last year they had so many offensive things to throw at you. They had power from everywhere. Right now the only power that Bob Brenly has on his bench are left-handers. Now he's saving them in hopes they get an opportunity to face Isringhausen, but that's the one left-hander he needed most.
But Quentin McCracken hits it on the nose to right field, and it's off the wall. Colbert being waved around. We're tied at 1. Q is A-OK here at the Bob.
Well, with solid defense, it would have been a 1-2-3 inning for Rick White. As we said, up to that point, he had done nothing wrong. Well, he finally makes a mistake. Quentin McCracken. I mean, once again, a guy you didn't expect when the season started to possibly even make the team, all of a sudden ties this ball game up. He's a go-ahead run at second base, and he has got one excited manager in Bob Brenly.
So McCracken at second with the potential go-ahead run, and Damian Miller up. It's the 6th Diamondback hit. And obviously run unearned, but nobody cares. It's 1-1.
Boomer, and that postseason victory that Chuck Finley has wanted for so long, once again, won't happen.
He will take a victory of his team. That's his concern, although that certainly is a concern right now.
Chris Donald's talking with Greg Colburn about, in case I get an at-bat here in this inning, with Mark Little in the on-deck circle, it could be done. He wants to know what Colburn saw in that one at-bat he had against Rick White.
Well, the Diamondbacks have not led at all in this series. They've only been tied for a half inning in game 1. We can change all that here in the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 the count to Miller. Renteria, Matheny in the pitcher spot due up in the 9th for the Cards. Inside and up, 3-1.
Tony La Russa deciding to stick with Rick White. Some will be surprised he didn't go to a left-hander to get Quentin McCracken to hit from the right side. McCracken had all 3 of his homers this year hitting left-handed. Also had 17 of his doubles hitting from the left side.
In the dirt, blocked by Matheny, and now Miller on.
Right when we thought that the base running mistake on the part of Alex Cintron cost him this, you know what it did?
Yeah.
Put Albert Pujols at third base. Took Rolen out of the game. Got this ball game into the position it is, which is tied, and this crowd's going crazy.
And the reason they're going crazy is Little's been called back from the bench, and Mark Grace will step up to be the pinch hitter just announced, and here goes the crowd bonkers.
Mark Grace just 1 for 4 against the pitcher out there right now, Rick White. Take a look at the numbers by Facero, the left-handed reliever Tony La Russa could go to. Gracie in 33 at-bats has hit .364. That's going to be Facero.
Who is nasty, to say the least, on lefties.
Mark Grace has been nasty on left-handed pitchers this year, too.
Well, we have nasty versus nasty in a 1-1 game in the bottom of the 8th.
We'll be back.
Oh, yeah. And so will you all out there. Bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 game now. The D-backs have tied it, and they're thinking about going ahead with a boatload of changes for the Cardinals. But here's the situation with a couple of base runners. Kraken and Miller aboard, and the veteran lefty Jeff Facero worked C1 inning 2 nights ago. Game number 1 Facero, walking towards 40, still can buck towards nasty on the hill.
I'll tell you what's amazing, Boomer. I mean, he was throwing 95 miles an hour this year for the Cardinals. Right when people thought it was over for him, as he struggled with the Chicago Cubs, Walt Jocketty decides I'll take a chance on him. My scouts tell me he's got some life left in his arm, and he proved that.
The new third baseman is Miguel Cairo. He will hit in the 9-hole, the pitcher spot. Albert Pujols, in the span of an inning, has gone from left to third to first. Facero will bat in the 6th spot, so Tino Martinez out. And Mark Grace up against 39 years young Jeff Fassero. Swinging at the first pitch and lofting it to right. It's Drew and his son, and he makes the play. So not much suspense there. Fassero does it with one pitch, but Quentin McCracken has tied this thing up.
Now is the time.
Well, we would say now is the time for some white knuckles here at Bank One Ballpark. 1 run, 7 hits, 1 error, St. Louis. 1 run, 6 hits, no errors, Arizona. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe, glad you could join us for what's become the first pitching duel of the postseason in 2002. Curt Schilling and Chuck Finley started it off. They're now gone as Edgar Renteria starts off perhaps a rally in the 9th for St. Louis.
Boomer, he's the man now. He's not a kid anymore. I know he hit 6th yesterday and 7th today for Tony La Russa, but that's just because he's been so productive there. That's a terrific pitch that's going to get most people out. Right now, Edgar Renteria is not an average player.
Couple of changes defensively for the Diamondbacks.
Well, and an opportunity to manage a little bit here. That sacrifice bunt, not a given. Koploff slow to the plate because of that sidearm delivery. Speed at first base.
However, Mark Grace is also at first base. That's a defensive upgrade for Arizona. Dave DeLucci has gone into left field.
It just means you better make a pretty good bunt if you push it to first base.
DeLucci will hit in the 3-hole. Grace obviously pinch hitting, staying in the game. DeLucci hitting in Colburn's spot. Matheny bunts it. Grace fields it. Shovel to Spivey. Renteria to second. 1 out.
Told you he was going to take a good bunt. Well, that's exactly what Mike Matheny gave Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. Look at him out there. Perfect fundamentals. You saw how the bat came back after it made contact with the baseball. Just like he catches at home plate, he just simply caught that baseball with the end of the bat this time.
So now the first at bat for Miguel Cairo. Who's the third base now for St. Louis.
Not his first pinch hit of the year, though.
Nope.
This will be the 60th pinch hit appearance this season. Already 19 hits. More importantly for Tony La Russa, 10 RBIs.
Against Koploff up the middle, diving is Spivey. He can't get it. Renteria being waved around. The throw from Finley is cut off by Grace. Throwing to second, all hands safe. 3-2. The Cardinals lead it 2-1.
How about Miguel Cairo? I mean, here's a guy that was given up on by Tampa Bay, given up on by the Chicago Cubs, and yet they found a role for him. Not an everyday type player, but a versatile type guy that could get some big pinch hits, but none bigger than the one he just got.
You talked about him as a pinch hitter. The bunt was perfect. Renteria getting it going. And so the hero thus far is the 28-year-older from Venezuela, Miguel Cairo. And the Cards have the lead. We are back, and the very ominous music and ominous delivery of Mike Myers, but an ominous moment here for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who now trail it 2-1.
Well, a huge base hit by Cairo. You know, with the Renteria and his speed, it was going to be a difficult play at home. But let's take a look at the throw by Steve Finley. Normally as accurate and consistent as any outfielder you'll ever find. But this one not only pulled Damian Miller off home plate, but by not hitting the cutoff man, Mark Grace, Gracie having to go well over to his left. Look at it. He couldn't get anything on the throw to second base. Because of that, Cairo would have been out, the second out. Instead, there's only 1 out, another Cardinal runner in scoring position.
Different reaction there on the Cardinal bench.
Well, and that is. Those are bench players. That's Robinson. That's Eduardo Perez. Guys who have been on that bench all year long with Miguel Cairo. They're going to root the loudest for him.
Here's Here's Myers, who starts his throwing in Tucson and ends up in Yuma by the time it gets to the plate. Ball 1.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Cairo try to take off here. It's not the ideal situation because you got a left-handed hitter in there, catcher with a clear shot at third, but Myers is so slow to the plate.
Well, that ball was quick down the line, but foul by Vina, who has 3 hits in each of the 2 games thus far here in Arizona.
Boy, he's given him a big lift all year long in that role. I mean, he didn't wait on anything. The first pitch he saw near the strike zone, he took a good swing at it. And up to this point right now, I guess, the biggest hit of the year for the Cardinals by Miguel Cairo.
And now Myers has Cairo picked off and tagged out. Not the best base running play of the year for the Cardinals.
Well, he got the green light, which I thought he might, but you have to make sure the pitcher goes to home plate. Mike Myers just kind of took a look into the eyes. You know, you really don't see anything by his lead there. He wasn't off that far. But that's not what you look for when you turn around to check the runner. You look into his eyes. You look to see if his body is doing anything different than it normally does. You put on the simple little spin move by Myers. If he's going on first movement, he gets out there in no man's land. You just have to clear the rubber and then make the run down. You don't have to make that throw to second.
Vina just waving at that thing. We do want to get this across in a hurry. Good news for St. Louis, at least as we understand it. Left shoulder sprain for Scott Rowland, but X-rays negative.
Well, Boomer, I'm telling you, for him to come out of the game, it's a big-time sprain.
Finley coming, won't get there in time, and now how important is that pickoff play? Vina with his 4th hit, 7th hit thus far in the series.
You know, you never know. I mean, you toss a coin if you're Tony La Russa. He's going to have to answer some questions after the game. But, you know, this game is about players, all right? He put on the green light. If you get a jump, you know, and the pitcher's going to home, take off. Well, that's not Tony's fault. But Tony's the one that's going to have to answer the questions when it's said and done. What if he'd stayed at second? Does that mean the same pitch would have been thrown by Myers to Vina? I mean, there's just a lot of intangibles that, you know, are going to keep me from becoming a manager.
J.D. Drew skies it. This should end it. Grace calls for it. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Will this be the last half inning that these fans get a chance to see the Diamondbacks? We'll see. Two-1 bottom of the 9th. The Diamondbacks trying to rattle out a tying run and extend this thing. Game 3 will be Saturday evening, early evening, 6:30 local in what will be a raucous Busch Stadium. Andy Bennis, the merchant of Bennis, going for St. Louis. Miguel Batista, who impressed in the World Series last year, to say the least, in his Game 3 start in Yankee Stadium, going for Arizona. It would be Johnson 4 against Morris. It would be Schilling 5 against Finley, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves because the closer, Jason Isringhausen, 1 save and 1 opportunity for Oakland in 2000 postseason, 2 saves and 2 opportunities for Oakland 2001 postseason, now has a chance for his first with the Cards.
Well, Boomer, you wonder what happened there. Why did Tony La Russa change his mind? Well, he sent Pissarro out to start the inning just in hopes that Bob Brenly would go with his only right-handed pinch hitter, that being Rod Barajas. When he didn't do that, Tony knew he was going to go get his stopper.
And so Chris Donald's the pinch hitter, remains in, as he would, lefty versus righty, but
Donald's only had 2 hits all year long against left-handed pitchers, but that was in only 9 at-bats. What were the 2 hits? Both of them, Boomer, left the yard.
This one fouled back.
You know, Tony La Russa's always thinking of positive things. You know, we mentioned before Game 1 how the schedule with the off day has really helped Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. You know, Randy pitches on his normal rest. If he makes it to Game 4, Curt can come back for Game 5. Tony said, you know what, it helps us too. Because with the cranky shoulder Jason Isringhausen has had, Now we don't have to throw him back to back. If he were to pitch in game 1 or in game 2, he's available for game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't pitch in game 1 with the 12-2 score for the Cards. It's the day off tomorrow. They play Saturday, Sunday. St. Louis would play Monday here if you go that far. The Yankees last year spotted Oakland, 2 wins in New York, came back to win it. This little best of 5 round hadn't gone on very long. Since 95, that's the only time that has happened. We're not done here yet, of course. But Donalds skies it. Matheny takes charge, and there is 1 out. Since 1987, the Cardinals have been in 7 postseason series. They're perfect when they win game 1, as they have done, starting in '87 when they beat the Giants in a best of 7 NLCS. They're 0-4 when losing game 1, as they did last year in this round against the Arizona Diamondbacks. As we said the other night, I know 1987 doesn't have any bearing, or 1996 doesn't have bearing on this now, but just interesting fact that I'm sure makes Redbird fans, and they're all watching, very happy. Tony Womack fouls it off from Isringhausen, strike 1.
You know, I saw another thing too when the divisional series started this year in the National League. Teams that won game 1 of the divisional series had went on to win the series 12 out of 14 times. It wasn't anywhere near like that in the American League. American League teams that win the first game only won the series 6 times out of the 14.
The numbers change if it's 2-0. Little chopper. Womack will motor. Vigna, True over to Pujols, and the Diamondbacks are down to their last out here at home.
They know what they're up against, Boomer. They know, as fun as this crowd has been for them here at home all year long, it's going to get even crazier for game 3 in St. Louis.
Absolutely. St. Louis 22-4 since September 3rd. They and the Giants are the hot clubs in the National League.
You know, Boomer, I'm shocked with all of the hits and runs they scored in game 1 off Randy Johnson. The Cardinals have put together 10 hits here in this ball game, a game started by Curt Schilling. But the biggest story to me is, as we expected, without Luis Gonzalez, Arizona can't score.
Junior Spivey singled way back in the first. 1 for 4 overall. 2 hits in this series. Can he prolong it? Down the line, but just foul. Ooh, yeah, it was right.
Why weren't we guarding the line?
Oh, it's not rolling in there.
I don't care who it is. Isn't he supposed to be on top of the bag?
No, I mean, Roland would know it. Cairo is somewhere.
If that ball gets down the line, it's a double, at least a double. The book says you got to have the guys on the corners on the line. Tony La Russa doesn't always go by that book.
And there it is. Isringhausen comes in with a 1-2-3 night, and the St. Louis Cardinals have come in and defeated Randy Johnson and won a game in which Curt Schilling has pitched. Chuck Finley was marvelous, and the Redbirds will be winging home. I don't even think they need a plane. They win it 2-1.
Boomer, just like this is Derek Jeter's time of the year, so is it Edgar Renteria's. He proved it again today.
So high fives all around. Morris and Finley have come in and handcuffed this Arizona Diamondback lineup, and Isringhausen puts the finishing touches on.
That bullpen has been one of the strengths of the St. Louis Cardinals all year long, but I think the biggest story of the afternoon was Chuck Finley and his terrific start, giving them a chance to win.
Well, you have to wonder if this will be the final time that these world champion Diamondbacks will be seen here in Bank One Ballpark. Now, this is a team that got off the ultimate mat in Game 4 and 5 at the World Series last year. But this St. Louis Cardinal team, we've sensed it in the locker room. You've seen them the final week. There's a confidence in every spot in the batting order. There's a confidence at just about every spot in the bullpen. And there is some heart, of which we cannot overstate.
Boomer, and you know what? You think there'd be a lack of confidence in their starting rotation with all of the injuries. I mean, Chuck Finley struggled with Cleveland, 4-11. You think about Andy Bennis, he'd retired. He was at home taking care of the kids, being a father. And you think about Jason Simontachi. I mean, he was pitching on the Italian team a couple of years ago, independently, and yet Tony La Russa says every time we get worried about them, they just keep coming up big for us. And that was really the story here this afternoon.
As for Arizona, their two big guns have come out, and they've come away with no wins. And without Luis Gonzalez, this is a team just scratching for any sort of momentum, let alone runs. Let's go down to a guy that certainly lit the lamp, shall we say, Mark Schwartz, with Fernando Vina, Mr. Multi-hit in both of these games.
Chris, indeed, he has 7 hits in his last 8 at-bats. How difficult is that to do against the kind of pitching that you're facing in this series, Fernando?
It's tough. I mean, it's no secret. Randy and Schilling, I mean, they're the best in the world, period. I mean, they got a great team over there, and they're the world champs. So we're just trying to grind, and I'm just trying to go up there and get on base and do things and help my team.
Now, in this situation against Curt Schilling, he has now faced you guys 3 times in the postseason. He has allowed exactly 2 runs. Both of them, J.D. Drew home runs. Coincidence?
He's amazing. I mean, he's so tough. Randy's nasty as could be. I mean, these guys are just incredible. And you got to go up there and grind and battle. And J.D. picked us up with got the good piece of the bat on it and picked us up big time.
Did you expect Chuck Finley to come up as big as he did? 6 1/3 shutout innings in this situation. He's never won a postseason game.
Yeah, I mean, I got all the confidence in the world in Chuck. I mean, he's a gamer. He's a bulldog, and he came out, and that's why he's over here with us. You know, I mean, he comes and does his job, and tremendous. You know, he's a lot of respect for him.
You shocked that Alex Cintron took out Scott Rowland at third base?
I don't think it was. I think it was just trying to get to third base. I mean, a young guy playing hard. I don't think it was anything intentional. And Scotty going for the ball. You know, hopefully, God willing, Scotty will be all right, and we can have him back for Saturday.
Sounds like a shoulder sprain. Fernando, if I told you would beat both Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling here in Arizona coming in, what would you have said?
You know, I would say, you know, I hope so. I hope we can do that. I mean, because like I said, these guys are the best around, and for us to do what we did is something special. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and we have to go back home, and hopefully we can win one more game here.
Fernando Vina on fire. The Cardinals go home with a 2-zip lead. Chris, back up to you.
Hard market.